but they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
The 2011 winner of the Heisman Trophy is Robert Griffin III, RG3.
Welcome to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Langoliers, base hit to center, and the Baylor Bears win their first Big 12 tournament championship.
Their fat little girlfriends are telling them what they want to hear, which is how great you are.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Yep, just ready for OU.
You can't handle the truth.
Here's Drake Toll.
Welcome into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Super Tuesday today in college basketball, and returning the number 2 team in the country, your Baylor Bears, tonight in action back in the Farrell Center.
23.5 points.
Woo!
23.5. Also, the shades, for those of you not watching on the app, you're missing out because we got Tom Cruise of Top Gun here throwing up some heat.
Highway to the danger zone. Yeah, Armstrong knows it. He's singing along over there. Look at him. Big old smile on his face.
All our no huddle plays in college were Top Gun references.
Really?
So we had Top Gun. So we're in no huddle. Now we're Maverick, and we got Iceman, which was inside. We had I won't give them all away. We had a lot of.
That was bad.
We had a lot of.
And there are a ton of Ivy League people that watch this show. And they now
all locked in.
Have all of Cornell's signals on the air. You just did that.
We had a bunch of them. I don't know if we still have those, but I think we probably switched them up a little bit. If we didn't, we have to now.
How much do you watch Cornell games when they play?
Oh yeah, I would. They're on ESPN Plus, which was nice.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, obviously with the season getting canceled, haven't been able to do that. But the year I left, I watched. I would say, if not every game that was on ESPN Plus. Yeah,
A lot of pride.
A lot of pride. The ties run deep.
The ties run deep. The blood runs red.
Blood runs red. True story.
Big red bear. Today, Baylor Baseball falls yesterday to UT Rio Grande Valley 7-4. The day following blowing that 8-run lead, and now they fall to 1-2 on the season to open up the Big 12. You see that in Arlington playing that classic against the SEC, goes 1-8. Texas Tech, Texas, TCU against Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. The Big 12 goes 1-8 in baseball. What's going on in baseball?
Limping out of the gate.
What's going on in baseball right now?
Limping out of the gate. Were there a lot of cancellations throughout the Big 12 with the weather as well?
Yeah.
Do we think that had anything to do with it? Because Mississippi had to deal with it too. Mississippi had a lot of cancellations as well.
Yeah, I don't know if it really had to do with it that much. 1-8.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it was the top 3 teams in the Big 12 too. The rankings have shifted dramatically now. Ole Miss went from number 6 to number 1. Arkansas went from number 8 to number 2. I don't know what's going on in baseball right now, but the Big 12 dropped a little egg on which they're playing the SEC. The SEC's really good at baseball.
Bad optics.
On the men's side, we talked about it. Baylor men's basketball against Iowa State tonight. Iowa State is a 2-12.
2-12.
2-16. I'm sorry.
Not
They're
great.
2-16.
Not great.
2-16 is not good. On a scale of 1 to good, that is very not.
Very bad.
That
very
is
not
bad. If you're listening out there right now, if you're watching, you're listening, you're on the Twitter or wherever. This right here, I'm wearing one right now. This is a SicEm365. What do you call it? An arm? It's not an armband.
Yeah.
It's like a bracelet.
Like a Livestrong kind of.
A Livestrong. Didn't they cancel Livestrong?
I don't know.
Remember that?
That's what I just associate those kind of bands with, like the Livestrong kind of wristbands.
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 That's good enough. The first two people to text 254-339-1122. All you have to do is text it and say bracelet. That's it.
Oh, let's go.
Today's code word is bracelet. 254-339-1122. Text bracelet to that number. And then after 3 easy payments of $10, I will mail you a wristband. Somebody's got to pay for shipping.
That's all it takes. Yeah.
Somebody's got to pay for shipping. I will send you a free bracelet, actually. I've just decided I will send you a free bracelet if you text bracelet and spell it correctly. That is also part of the deal.
Give us a winning pick, too, while you're at it.
We have Jack Wheeler sent bracelet. Scotty B, the Baylor King, sent bracelet. Boom. There it is. 2 of them. Lock it in. Right there. Scotty B, the Baylor King, Jack Wheeler.
Is it just for the power hour, or is it for the whole duration of the show?
What do you mean?
Like, is that deal of just text and bracelet? Like,
is
that just for
it was
the
the first 2.
No, I mean, like, is that going to last the rest of the show? Or, like, how long do they have the text in?
I might throw out some more of that stuff. Like Matt in DC here says, bracket, Matt DC.
Let's go.
And then he says bracelet. That's not how you spell bracelet.
I love it.
That's not how you spell bracelet. So Matt in D.C. can't get one.
I've been spelling bracelet wrong for a long
But
time.
Scotty B. the Baylor King and Jack Wheeler both just got bracklets.
Scotty B. the Baylor King breaks some stuff on Twitter. Like he tags us in some good stuff on Twitter.
Yeah,
like,
he does.
Like he's got a future in freelance reporting.
He's got an in.
Because I always get tagged and stuff, and I'm like, I didn't know this before.
Right. And it's always like,
I'm
hey
smarter.
guys, check this out. It's like, crap, man. That's true. This is a good. I think we got to tag something today.
It really is the Baylor King.
It is. It's information. Jack Wheeler says break it. Just like that, the bracelets are back on the table. Jack Wheeler spelled bracelet wrong. All right.
Let's go.
Elsewhere today, women's basketball is at home tomorrow against Oklahoma State. They return to the Farrell Center after playing at Oklahoma on Sunday. Softball is at home tomorrow against UT Arlington. Their home opener after splitting games on Sunday. So everybody's playing.
Is that the finale for women's basketball? It's got to be close, right? It's home finale, maybe?
I don't think it's the finale.
Is it the home finale?
What are we looking at?
They're close.
They have cancellations too.
That's right. Oh, yeah. I guess so maybe the on the schedule, maybe it was going to be the finale. But
That's a good point. Are the calls open? Are our caller lines open? Oh, beautiful. I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. Pickell. Armstrong Sims is over there. Cole's with us today. It's not my show.
not my show. It is Cole's show, though.
Cole was telling us on the way in today. He said, hey, you guys, this is my show.
Yeah.
And I can't argue with it.
I was like,
Cole
shoot,
played
yeah.
baseball. I looked at Cole and I was like, Cole, you played baseball. And he was like, yeah, I played baseball. He's got the flow going
Let's
on
go.
back there in the hat.
Cole, you hit dingers? You hit
Cole's
dingers?
nodding,
Yeah,
yes. Cole's nodding.
Cole
He's
hit
licking his
dingers.
lips. Gosh, dang it, JD. You just know.
Cole hits dingers.
You know what to say. Cole hits dingers. Also, I needed to come back and report after a very lengthy and Jack Wheeler texts all caps, bracelet. All right, Jack. He re-won the bracelet. My mom wanted to make a public apology over the air to absolutely no one. No. She wanted to apologize for her comments about my glasses. As you guys can see, I'm not wearing glasses today, and it's solely because of my mother and my grandma, actually.
Really?
That talked me off. They talked me out of wearing glasses for the rest of my life.
Did your grandmother apologize as well?
No, she does not listen to the show. She is unapologetic. She owns a restaurant.
No remorse. No
remorse.
No retraction.
Put down.
Good restaurant, though?
Great restaurant.
Yeah.
Soul food.
Really?
Soul food, yeah. It's been open for like 12 years.
I didn't make a trip out to
Conway, Arkansas, the Hole in the Wall Cafe.
Conway,
that
okay.
right there is free advertisement.
Yeah, I'm in for that.
So if you guys
I'll
are
make a
passing
trip.
through,
I'm in.
But it's a big catering joint, you know.
Okay.
My mom's texting me. You sit on a throne of lives. She didn't even say lies. She didn't spell lies correctly. She said you sit upon a throne of lives.
Maybe she meant it like you're like the throne that you sit on is
Dead bodies?
is live all the time,
Or
like the live camera.
Lives as in dead bodies? That's my mom today. She said I'd sit upon a throne of lives. I don't know, but that's okay. Baylor Baseball, UT Rio Grande Valley. JD, we'd be remiss if we didn't break this thing down because I was disappointed. I think everybody's got to be disappointed. You go into the first series, baseball's weird, man.
Baseball is weird.
You get one pitcher out there who's look at Gia Rodoni on Sunday, right? Gia Rodoni's an All-American, a senior starter that's been really good for the softball team her entire career. She's a sixth year. She goes out there and things don't necessarily click. She has a bad game. I mean, we can say that the game didn't go very well for her. That happens. Things like that happen to teams. But UT Rio Grande Valley, you beat them 12-7 in game one, allowing 7 runs to UTRGV, they're not a bad baseball squad. But
No,
we're Baylor.
but you should win.
But it's Baylor.
You should win.
And then game 2, you're up 8-0 in the 7th inning. In the 7th inning. And then you lose 9-8. And you think, okay, that's not supposed to happen. And then all right.
It is a lot of runs.
They're going to win the series on Monday because that's
Wake-up call.
obvious.
Yeah.
They we lost to UTRGV. We got to pick things up. We want to prove that we're one of the best teams in the Big 12. And then Baylor Baseball falls to UTRGV 7-4 yesterday in the series finale.
The bats just fell asleep. Like the bats were just nowhere to be found. 4 runs isn't abysmal, but given your opponent and given what you did the last 2 games, scoring 20 runs in 2 games, thinking, okay, we got some offense here. We're rolling. But the biggest thing that concerns me is the defense and the pitching. To allow 7 runs, 8 runs in a matter of 3 innings in the game before. You kind of got to wonder what's going on in that clubhouse. Like what is the conversations? What do you even say after a series like that? I think there's a lot of things you blame it on, COVID, weather, whatever you want to call it. But you are limping into the Round Rock.
Yeah.
Like you have to have such low morale, such low confidence going into the Round Rock. And again, I'm not saying they're going to be just thinking they're going to just get shelved, but that has to hurt morale. That's going to be a tough ride over.
And Round Rock's a bunch of good teams. Really, really good teams.
SEC
this
teams.
it's not Round Rock's not going to be like, boop-a-doo, baseball, playing Lamar.
Yeah.
It's like legit.
You think they peeked ahead? You think that had something to do with it? You think they're looking ahead to playing? Who do they have? Like A&M, Oklahoma, and is it Auburn?
I will give Baylor Baseball this. They did not expect to play this tournament. Because they had a weekend series already slated out, and they couldn't play it due to the weather. Mm-hmm. So they threw this together last second, very short. At the same time, though,
Yeah.
if Baylor women's basketball scheduled a series against Lubbock Christian,
Yeah.
Lubbock Christian's really good at women's basketball, but then they drop 2 out of 3, you'd be like, hey, no.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
To lose the whole series.
To lose this
Lose the series. Like, you drop a game, it's a bad look.
It's
you
a
should
bad
have
look.
swept the series, right? Like, we're all like, okay, 3-0. They'll still be able to kind of get a tune-up in before the Round Rock. And I think that was the goal of this series, right, was to be able to play some baseball before you had to play some of the big dogs. And the way to have it shake out like that and to shake out in that fashion with blowing the second game and then getting beat by several runs. It wasn't even like it went to extras. It wasn't like it was 1 run. It was like, no, this is 3 runs. 3 runs to Rio Grande Valley. That's a bad op. It's a bad op. They'll bounce back, but that's a tough way to start out of the gate.
Losing pitcher yesterday, Jimmy Winston was the starter for Baylor. 2 innings pitched, gave up 3 earned runs, 4 runs overall. Baylor in the end had 1 error, which is, most teams average about an error a game.
Sure.
They had 10 hits. 10 hits compared to UT Rio Grande Valley's 11 and fell 7-4, only 4 runs. UTRGV had 7 runs. UTRGV had a 1-run lead at the end of the first. A 4-1 lead at the end of the second. They scored 3 runs in the bottom of the second against a Baylor starter.
This must have been a weird game. Redshirt senior on the mound, too, so it wasn't like kids just getting thrown out there to get some reps, to get some live.
James, man.
Tough.
It's
tough.
Deal. Game 2, though. Game 2, I want to go back to the 8-run lead in the 7th inning. And then in the end, UTRGV puts up a 2 spot in the 5th. I'm sorry, they were up 8-2 in the 5th. They put a 2 spot in the 5th. It's like, all right. 8-2.
Still,
it's going to happen, you know. And then next thing you know, it's 8-8. They put up a 6 spot in the 7th, and you're like, that's not supposed to happen.
Am I wrong, or is it like kind of hard to score runs? Like somewhere between, like runs are.
Cole, what say you, Cole?
Right, like you have to have people on base.
Is it kind of hard to score runs in baseball?
1 through 10. How hard is it to score runs? Like juxtapose it with like another sport.
How hard is it to score a run compared to scoring a touchdown?
Like I would think it's substantially harder to score runs. That's why I'm so amazed that I think it's harder to blow a lead in baseball, right? Because the pace of play is so much slower. Like it's not like I guess it's a game of momentum. I guess you get rallies, but Cole, enlighten me, Cole. You know about this.
A 6-run inning is a lot harder than a touchdown.
Yes,
say that.
Yes, 1 through 10. So how many touchdowns would you say it is if you're blowing a 5-run lead?
Where are you going with this?
I want to just emphasize how impressive it is that they blew a 5-run lead.
5 touchdowns.
5
touchdowns?
Baylor blew a 3-touchdown lead 2 years ago, and that was like
that was bad.
That was like the end of the world.
Nobody liked that.
5 touchdowns. All right, we need a conversion chart because that's a lot of runs.
We need a formula. Ideas in mathematics.
That's rough.
Speaking of, did I tell you about my ideas in mathematics test yesterday?
I know you finished first.
I did already tell you guys about my ideas in mathematics test.
You don't have to say the grade.
We don't have the grade back yet, though. When we do, we will make it public. We'll make it public what the grade was. Yeah, I don't.
Dude, so you feel great about it.
I feel good. I feel confident about my ideas in mathematics test.
Let's go.
I studied for that thing.
Heck yeah.
More importantly, almost, Armstrong Sims. Remember we talked about him going on his date?
Yep.
But we could not talk further because the snow and everything happened, so it was kind of tough to get it all and hey, Armstrong, how did it go? So now in studio, Armstrong Sims, who went on a date yesterday, or went on a date not yesterday, but a first date. Walk us through the first date, actually.
Yeah.
Folks at home.
I don't want to. I don't feel comfortable doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fair.
I keep that close to the chest.
Walk us through.
And sharing that on up-tempo is not close to the chest.
True or false, she has watched the show since the first date.
That's probably false.
Wow.
Does she know the show exists?
She knows the show exists.
Okay, all right.
Thanks a lot.
And she said that she'd watch, to be just to be nice, but she doesn't care.
But maybe she just texted bracelet, so I don't know.
I don't think she
That's
just
the number that was.
I thought she did.
No, she said bracolette. Hey, you got one on your hands right here. Bracolette.
That's French. But it went well.
It's French.
It was.
And then
It went well, yeah.
date 1 turned into.
I played this close to the chest.
Did you get to a second date?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. All right, hey, we're batting 1,000 right now. Armstrong up top.
How many runs would you say you would be ahead at this point?
I'm not going to say that.
Put it into terms of touchdowns.
I'm not gonna. Y'all trying to.
How many?
Y'all trying to get me to say things. I'm not gonna.
That's fair.
What, you can't tell us how many touchdowns ahead you are?
No.
What's the score?
I don't know. I don't have the conversion chart in front of me.
I don't think it translates whatsoever. Steven from Virginia is on the Impact Health Labs caller line. Steven from Virginia, you're on with Uptempo.
Hey guys, first lay off Armstrong. Let the man do his work. He's got a plan. He's gonna follow through.
Thank you.
Don't be putting him on the radio on blast. Let my man have some privacy.
Fair point.
Also, Stephen from Virginia, before you get quite into your thoughts today, sound breaking: Baylor West Virginia, scheduled for Thursday, is apparently highly likely to be postponed or canceled. Sources tell CBS Sports, not due to COVID-19 tests within either program. An announcement from the league is coming this afternoon.
Oh no.
That's certainly disappointing.
That's not
it's not COVID related.
That's certainly disappointing.
Scheduling.
Not the best news I've gotten today, but I'll try to digress. We're still on for tonight, right?
We're still on for tonight.
As far as we know,
We're playing basketball tonight.
Gonzaga was like 5 minutes before tip, so we don't know.
That's a good point.
But we're being optimistic. Yes.
Well, before we get into that, I want to give y'all some baseball talk, and I also want to say Drake got so big after he made the news, he decided to stop answering my text. So all he has to do is open his phone, and I have recorded a song that I played on piano and wrote completely myself. So your next commercial break, you have time, my friend. See if it's any good.
I'm preparing myself. I'm waiting for it right now. I'm getting the nerves are pumping.
Okay, so I literally played it on the piano myself. So I hope it's good. I hope y'all enjoy it. But I'm really excited for this Iowa State game tonight. And before we get into the Iowa State game, I do, as a former baseball player who loosely played baseball in high school and college, junior college, I would like to give y'all a little insight on the baseball thing.
Please.
Okay, so remember how Coach Briles was able to form a system to score 70 points a game, or almost 70 points and a half at will?
Briles ball.
Okay, there's no thing in baseball other than steroids that batters can do to improve on scoring runs that substantially. There's no strategy. There's no X's and O's. It's you, and it's a dude with 95 coming from 65 feet away or 60 feet away. Like, I play in an adult league where I live, and we have former minor leaguers who play in our league, and those guys will be throwing 90 miles an hour in the first inning. And by the third or fourth inning, they'll be throwing 95. Jeez. And I'll be wondering why I paid $200 to sign up to get struck out like this. So I want y'all to know this is a baseball problem. Baseball has to figure out a way to kind of tip the scales in favor of the batters because, yes, 5 runs is like 5 touchdowns. And every once in a while in a season, you may see a team come back from down 9-0. And you may see it once a year, but it'll happen.
Yeah.
And so and when those are happening, like if you're a fan of a team, I've watched the Cardinals come back from 10-run deficits against the Cubs. And I got to say, like, if it's your team that does it, it's really exciting. But if you're sitting there watching it, there's no clock in baseball. You got to get the out. So you're just sitting there along for the ride, and I'm sure, I saw Drake was at the Arkansas TCU game. So I know Drake knows a little bit about baseball. So I'm sure Drake can help you fill in the loose holes, JD. To get on to Iowa State, I know y'all are probably pushing for time. I've got them covering, and I've got them hitting the over tonight because I will not doubt the Bears. I will not doubt the Bears.
Hold on, you have Baylor covering?
23.
Every time that they've handled adversity this year, they've handled it perfectly, and they've come out strong. I have no reason to doubt them tonight. I'm in full support of the Bears. I don't care what the spread is, and I don't care what the over is. I'm taking them both.
Let's go.
Wow.
I love that. Just to backtrack, we're definitely not down on like the baseball program. Like the baseball program is going to be fine. They're going to get it together. But I think we're just all like very surprised and a little bit confused that that's the way they started the season. But I just wanted to make sure that was out there on the record. But 23. So you're taking 23.5, Steve, is what I'm hearing.
I'm not worried. I really think that Baylor could come out and play their best ball tonight and even be missing a few guys and play better than Iowa State. And back on the baseball real quick, Baylor baseball is going to be fine. Rio Grande Valley is a lot better than teams out of the WAC normally are. They played them really tough. Baylor's going to be fine. Baylor has a great recruiting base, and Baylor has a great talent base on that team. And to give a shout-out to Blake Shapen, y'all were talking about the quarterback battle last week. And my personal favorite is Shapen because I'm a baseball guy, and I love dual sport athletes. So I want to see him shine on the diamond and on the football field. Y'all got Bear games for me?
Bear games today in the Big 12 mascot madness. Raider and a Cyclone. Raider, I hardly know her.
So I'm going to take the Cyclone because of the natural disaster element here, even though I did not take that before with the Wildcat, probably because I have more respect for Wildcats than I do for Red Raiders. So the Wildcat element made me think it had a fighting chance, but a Red Raider, I mean, even if he has a gun, what's he going to do? Shoot it?
Right. Good logic.
You can't shoot a Cyclone. Can't shoot a Cyclone. Bear or a Mountaineer?
Well, I have to pick a Bear. Even though, I mean, and look, I saw that Leonardo DiCaprio movie, The Covenant, and that bear messed him up good. And Leonardo DiCaprio was as close to a Mountaineer as you can get in that movie. So I'm digging the Bear.
Love it.
And then
it's Revenant.
Score prediction for tonight, and who do you think the leading scorer for Baylor is going to be?
So you said the over-under is 123, JD?
No. Baylor?
The spread is 23.5 last I checked.
The over-under is like 148?
That sounds right.
147.5.
So I've got the Bears 90-61.
Let's go.
I've got the leading scorer. It's hard to know with who's healthy, but I'm going to pick LJ Cryer tonight because I have a feeling that he had COVID before, this season, and he had to miss some games while other people weren't. So I have a feeling that he's more healthy and that he'll get more minutes tonight and he'll come out and hit some threes. Either him or Flagler. That's my pick. I got the bench guy, the bench mafia coming out tonight.
I have Flagler written down. All right, Steve, thanks for your call.
Later, guys.
You're the GOAT, Steve. He's awesome. Steven. He always calls in with such good stuff.
He's writing more songs, too.
I love that.
That man inspired Walking in Waco.
Yeah.
We've got, T-Rex, a real-life dinosaur, on the Impact Health Labs call line. T-Rex, you're on with Up-Tempo.
Oh, man. I should be in a really good mood. I just got off a phone call with my boss. I'm getting a bonus. This and that. I'm not losing my job in this merger that's taking place. But I'm so mad because I was looking forward to smacking that West Virginia butt this week, as well as the Cyclone butt and the KU butt. And I'm saying butt because it's a family-friendly radio show. Absolutely. But, man, I want to say something else. And I get that player safety matters. I understand that. But I wish that people would understand. And, maybe I need to take words of my own advice and not care what other people think because I really don't. But it just gets so annoying that people forget the fact that Gonzaga had players with COVID. That's why that game got canceled. And that West Virginia postponed our game first because of their own COVID issues. Then we traded with them. So 50-50, cool. But we finally get a game rescheduled. And it's canceled, postponed, whatever the heck the Big 12 is doing. I mean, hey, maybe we play them next week. Who knows? But maybe I'm just selfish and I just was looking forward to playing 3 games this week, and it was going to be so much fun. And it seems like every game that gets postponed is a game that I have tickets to. It's just maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I should just stop getting tickets. I don't know.
I'm talking to the man
tonight. I hope that I hope we cover. I don't bet on sports because I would bet on Baylor every time, and that's just stupid. You shouldn't bet with your heart. But, beating Iowa State by like 23 points, especially after a 3-week pause, would just send a message to the rest of the world and be like, hey, we're back. Oh, we never left, I guess. But God, like the Big 12 has no competency. They're just like so stupid. And I know. Let's not forget that.
Tell us how you really
Hopkins cried about playing so many games in such a short stretch for like 30 minutes the other day in an interview. So really, he's probably to blame for all this. But man, I just want to play games. Like, you know what? I want to play games on the court, and I want to play bear games on the radio, and I want to go play video games. But I just want to play some kind of game. Just no games with my heart, JD. No games with my heart.
I'm with you.
I'll retweet that. No games, don't go breaking my heart.
I couldn't if I tried.
Honey, yeah. Baby, you're not that kind.
T-Rex is still on the line, by the way.
Okay, T-Rex. Bear games today. Raider or a Cyclone? Raider. I don't really know.
Man, screw Iowa State. I'm going Raiders.
There we go.
Hey.
I love it.
All right. Cyclone's going down today.
Let's go.
Bear or a Mountaineer? Mountaineer's armed.
Big 12, apparently. We'll never get to play them.
Yeah.
Bear.
Big 12.
Go Bear.
I like it.
Bear. And then men's basketball score prediction tonight if they play it.
Baylor 100, Iowa State 69.
Okay.
They cover.
All right.
They cover the spread.
Flipping T-Rex, man. I think he predicted the same score the last time I played this game. T-Rex, thanks for your call.
Bears.
He's
Oh,
awesome.
my gosh.
You know, Baylor 5-0 against the spread on Tuesdays. Like obscure spreads, 5-0. So I mean, if you're betting with trends, Baylor 23.5 is virtually a lock. Virtually a lock. I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. But that's 5-0 on Tuesdays.
I ain't touching it.
Against the spread.
I'm not flipping touching it.
Not touching it.
Honey, if I get
How is it going to work
restless.
with all the scheduling? Like, are they just going to
You're the
backload the
kind.
schedule and then have to play the Big 12 tournament and then have to play the NCAA tournament?
I think what happened was Bob Huggins said, "I'm not happy, Bob."
Not
Armstrong?
happy.
Not happy.
I'm not happy.
Ask me
Bob.
why. Ask me why I'm not happy, Bob.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you. Edna.
He got
mode.
away. Good thing, too. One more set that would have been your job.
Armstrong made a point, and this would be a good Bear Games question.
I was discussing yesterday with some friends, and I think you could make the legitimate argument that The Incredibles is the most quotable movie of all time.
Yeah.
It's not even just the lines; it's the way they're delivered makes like everything, even just the most random lines, are like memorable.
I'm Mrs. Parr. This is Kari. Yeah, there's just so much. That
Everything.
Kari, the babysitter.
Everything.
There's no tech. He moves. There's a tech.
Yeah,
Coincidence?
That whole thing.
I think not. It is. It's a very quotable movie.
Bernie. Don't Bernie
Don't
me.
Bernie
This little
me.
rat is guilty.
Guilty! I say he's guilty.
Why is it
Great
so
movie.
quotable?
And we all know, like, this was not planned. We all just know
Why is
these
the whole
exact
thing
things.
so
so
quotable.
quotable?
Yeah.
I did not. What
I
is
need to
it?
watch it.
The Undertaker.
Underminer.
Underminer.
But it was kind of, was it a disappointment
know
to anyone else that the Underminer turned out in Incredibles 2 to just be like a bank robber? Like he wasn't like a big villain. He was just like trying to rob a bank.
I don't know.
I'm sort of forgetting like his role in the whole movie. I feel like he was
In the first one, he just
scene.
showed up at the end.
No, in the second one though, he was like the opening scene. I thought he was going to be like the antagonist for the rest of the
Yeah,
movie.
no,
It
he
was
just like was like
he was like
Kind of forgot
kind of
about
like
him.
a cameo.
he was grinding through the ground and then to a bank vault and then got caught.
Underminer.
That was what it was.
Wow, he's got the little microphone that he pulls.
Hey,
He's pretty cool.
failure to prepare is preparing to fail.
That's true.
Underminer. He had all that time.
Underminer.
I hardly know her.
Andrew Miner?
Andrew Miner. Gosh. Wow.
And now we're here.
Okay, we got Matt in DC calling in to talk a little Baylor basketball. Matt in DC, you're on with Up Tempo.
Hey, how's it going?
This says Taylor popcorn guys want to talk about bailing basketball. Matt in DC, this should be good.
Baylor popcorn guy. Since Reese Davis renamed me on game day the other day, so I had to call at least once.
Oh, Baylor popcorn guy.
Yeah, he did.
That's actually
He did.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But no, I ain't worried about all this rescheduling for basketball, man. We're going to play tonight. That means next game will be at Kansas. Then we'll probably play 3 games next week. And let's just play them, get through it healthy, don't get COVID, and then get to the tournament. And then the rest is going to be history, all right? It's going to be an easy slate. I'm not sure if we'll cover tonight. I'm definitely going to watch that game and probably wait till about halfway through the second period to live bet it possibly. We'll see. But we'll probably win by like 10 or 15. I just don't know. With a 3-week break, you don't know, and Iowa State's been playing better. And that's what, if you look at all these spreads on these games lately, like the national odds makers are putting these, Big 12 conference games like 16 or 13-point spreads, which is crazy because every team's seen each other twice now. So, I wouldn't take those high spreads. I just wait till live bet it. But, hey, stay healthy. Let's play the games. And breaking news on my end, I just got an advertisement for Oreo ID, and you can actually customize Oreos now. So if y'all like Oreos, check out that website because that's insane.
Make your own Oreo?
Customize Oreos?
Up temp Oreo?
You can choose the color. This is insane. I'm on the website. It's called Oreo ID. I just found it like 30 seconds ago.
Oh, heck yeah.
Like,
Do they taste? Are they like actual Oreos? They taste like.
Put a logo
you
on
can
it?
put a picture on it.
Can I put a Tempo logo on it?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's insane.
Matt and DC, how did you even stumble upon this?
I was just scrolling through Instagram and sure enough, one of those advertisements got me.
That's awesome. That's how they get you every time. Every time. All right, Matt and DC, some Bear games today. Who wins in a fight to the death between a real-life Raider and a real-life Cyclone?
The Cyclone, because the Raider's going to be too dumb to run away.
Yeah. Cyclone wins.
That's good.
Bear or Mountaineer?
Oh, man. I mean, the dude's suit's made out of fur, so I'm going to have to unfortunately go with the Mountaineer, man. He wears a fur on the sideline. I mean, it is what it is. He's got a gun, and the Bear, unless the Bear sneaks up on attacks him. On the Revenant movie is Leo. It's not the Covenant, whatever.
Nice. Very
whoever
well.
said that. It's
Very
called
good.
The Revenant. Yep.
Okay, and then men's basketball score prediction for tonight.
I'll go 70-59.
Oh, I like that. The under, and a Baylor win. Under, Baylor doesn't cover. I think I agree with that more than anything else so far.
Yeah, if Baylor's not going to cover and if they're not going to hit the over, it would be this game.
Yeah,
right?
true.
Like this would
Very
be the
true.
game that
Very
both
true.
those things happen.
All right, thanks for calling, Matt and DC.
Thank you.
Matt and DC out.
Here's the popcorn guy from Baylor. They're still on pause, but there is no pause coming from eating popcorn.
What a
Here's
beast.
the popcorn guy from Baylor. They're still on pause, but there is no pause coming from eating popcorn.
What an animal.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what he looked like. I'd never seen what he looked like
There he
before.
is.
He's a beautiful creature.
Popcorn guy.
Hot dude. Loves popcorn.
And Baylor.
True, triple threat.
Shoot. I am looking right now, OreoID.com.
Oh, yeah.
Brother, I'm uploading an up-tempo logo onto an Oreo right now.
There you go. Armstrong's got the ad up there.
This is
Customized
free
everything.
advertisement.
Just the cream color.
We need to get them as a sponsor.
I think they'll call us. I am now.
I think they'll call us.
You think they'll call? They will call. Oh my gosh! Look at this. Let me make it full screen so you guys can. Can you? Is this how this works, Armstrong? Here is this is an Oreo. For you guys.
Look at that.
That's an Oreo. It's white chocolate dipped, and then it has green icing, and it has a little up-tempo logo in the very middle.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be
I'd
so
eat that.
good.
The first two people to text 254-339-1122.
Owe us that.
Yeah, we'll buy.
They buy us.
You buy us this custom Oreo with the up-tempo logo. That looks pretty dope.
That looks so good.
I don't want to eat it. It just looks like too good. All right, I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. Pickell. Armstrong Sims Cole's in here with us today, breaking down things across Baylor basketball. We talked a little baseball right there. When we come back, we're going to do the SicEm Pick'em. And then it's Tuesday. Meaning today.
Oh my gosh, we killed
Today is the day.
We should skip.
Tuesday is like D-Day,
Did you
essentially.
have a new Music Monday?
Today is the day. No, I forgot.
Okay, anyways.
I was busy last night at a baseball game.
That's true.
Today is the day where we play Dead or Alive.
It really is like a Black Mirror episode. It's bad. Like
3 people. 3 people have been featured in Dead or Alive before that are no longer with us, but they were at the time of the game. Today, it's Dead or Alive with Armstrong's extended family. I'm Drake Toll. That's J.D. Pickell. Armstrong Simpson Cole.
I will turn off the mics.
This is Up-Tempo.
Across the NCAA last night, Big Monday saw its fair share of thrillers, starting in the Big 12 with Oklahoma State taking 18th-ranked Texas Tech to overtime at home.
All right, there it is.
McClung for three. Missed it all. Shannon, a three. Oh, he got it underneath. Easy bucket. Wow.
Despite late-game heroics from the Red Raiders, the Cowboys pulled out a 74-69 win thanks to 20 points from Cade Cunningham. Elsewhere, 19th-ranked USC bested Oregon at home 72-58. Drake improved to 23-2 with a win over Evansville 74-63, and Duke blew out Syracuse at home 85-71. On the women's side, number 4 Stanford took care of business to move to 21-2 on the season with a 62-48 home win over number 9 Arizona, and Notre Dame won at Pittsburgh 59-48. In baseball, number 7 Mississippi State beat 3 Texas Tech 11-5. Number 6 Ole Miss handled number 9 Texas 8-1. Number 8 Arkansas knocked off 10th-ranked TCU 4-1. And Baylor fell to UT Rio Grande Valley 7-4 to lose their opening series 2-1. And tonight, Baylor men's basketball returns to action for the first time in 21 days with a home matchup against 2-16 Iowa State, starting a trek 3 games in 6 days. The game is at 7 p.m. on Big 12 Now. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This is Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Uptempo.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
What you do in privacy is your own business. What you do in public with your truck, well, that's our business at Pickup Outfitters. In your garage, it's okay for your truck to parade around in the nude with no accessories. Hey, this is still America. But when you bring your truck out in public, it's just common decency to put an outfit on your truck. And that's where we come in at Pickup Outfitters. Put a cover on that bed. Cover your rear end with a bumper and a hitch, for goodness sakes. There are women and children on the roads. And guys, don't leave your tools exposed. Put them in a toolbox. Be proud of your truck and stand tall with a lift kit. Or improve your truck's posture with a leveling kit. Add some class to your pickup with new wheels and tires. Or dress up for a date with your new RV or boat with a fifth wheel or a receiver hitch. At Pickup Outfitters, we're dedicating to making the roads decent for all Central Texans. So when taking your truck out in public, remember your manners and accessorize it properly with an outfit from Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Welcome back in the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. It is Tuesday. Myself, Drake Toll, alongside J.D. Pickell, Armstrong, Sims, and Cole in studio today.
Boom.
How do you, it's Tuesday. It's Dead or Alive Day.
It's a dark day.
It's Dead or Alive Day. But today, Baylor men's basketball returns. We're gonna get into that with the SicEm Pick'em, but I want to start. What is your prediction for tonight? I don't want to just know your score prediction.
Yeah,
I want to know like top to bottom what's gonna happen tonight.
Yeah, the whole play-by-play. We talked about it throughout the week. Conditioning, right? Like we still don't know where there's going to be. Coach Drew was talking about it during the week. He's like, we're probably still not all the way back to game shape, or he loosely said something along those lines. So I would say Baylor is up by double digits at half. Maybe it's 8 or 9 points even. Probably a little bit sloppy in the first half, just trying to get their feet back under them. I don't think shooting will be on point, especially in that. Like the first half is going to be a lot of getting their bearings. Like they haven't played basketball in who knows how many days. They're playing an Iowa State team who probably just now thinks they maybe have a little bit of hope. But at the end of the day, Iowa State's Iowa State. Baylor's Baylor. I think Baylor turns it on in the second half, and just like Matt and DC said, I think 15-ish points is probably more realistic. I think that you see the shooting improve. I think you see a good halftime adjustment by Baylor. And I think right around 15 points. Don't think it'll get up to 20, but I think somewhere in the teens is a really good expectation for this team. If it were to be the under ever this season, I think it will be tonight. The under's been me before, so we'll see. But 148 is kind of a lot. 147.5 is what ESPN has it at. Let me do some quick math. I'm going to say it is Baylor 76, Iowa State. We'll go Iowa State 62.
So the under.
The under.
And Baylor doesn't cover. Who's your leading scorer for Baylor, you think?
You know what? I think Matt Buckets.
Wow.
It's going. I think maybe some guys are tired. They're sort of getting into a rhythm still. We've seen Jared Butler kind of take a while to heat up. So maybe Matt Meyer comes off the bench, does a little bit of work, gets going. Maybe the shot gets going, especially in the second half. I think a streak in the second half from Matt Meyer of threes will be the difference maker and kind of jumpstart a Baylor whipping.
Is there anybody that you're specifically looking forward to seeing play again?
Outside of Matt Meyer?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
outside of Matt Meyer? I want to see Everyday John get back out there.
EJ.
He's fun to watch. He's fun to get going, especially when he gets to go on the defensive end and is just a block machine. I like to see him have a big 1 or 2 blocks tonight and really set the tone. So, hey, we're back.
Armstrong, you're a big basketball guy, right? Is that yeah?
That's correct.
Give me what is your prediction for tonight?
I like, who was it earlier that said 70-59 was their score prediction? I think that's, I like around that area. I like Baylor's defense is, I would say it's even closer. No. I'm going to go 75-62, which is not closer, but.
We have a 1 point difference in our scores. I said
Really?
76-62. So either we're both really right or really wrong.
We'll see who's right.
I love it.
Okay.
Do both of us.
How about SicEm Pick'em today? Going into, so we're going to start there with the Baylor game. You don't think Baylor covers tonight at 23.5?
No. You know who I think has a big impact, though, too, is Mark Vidal. Like, this game is built for Mark Vidal. Big physical game. Maybe the shots aren't falling. A lot of boards to be had. I think Mark Vidal's a big variable, big X factor in this game. Like, he is every game. But, yes, so sorry, to your point, don't think they cover tonight. No.
Don't think they cover. Armstrong says they don't cover, and they hit the under.
Armstrong, if there is any team you want to come back from a 21-day break against, it's Iowa State.
Yeah. What is your do you have a leading score for Baylor?
I would just say Jared Butler. That's kind of just classic, but
it's fair.
I feel like it's a fair bet.
I think that's probably a good way to go. Games today. Did you know North Alabama and Liberty are playing right now?
They're rocking and rolling.
They're playing right now. I lost that game yesterday in the SicEm Pick'em.
Did you run it back today?
I did not run it back. I didn't know they were playing so early.
They play so early.
But give me your first couple that you're looking at right now that you really like.
Akron is tremendous against the spread, especially in conference games. Love Akron. That game is at 2 Eastern, 1 Central. So I love Akron right off the bat. I think that's a great play. Also like Buffalo and Northern Illinois. They're playing at 4. Northern Illinois is trash against the spread, especially in conference games. Buffalo's halfway decent. They're 8-4 against the spread in conference games. So I'm rolling with those two in the earlier slate. big fan, especially of the Akron one at -2 right now. I think that's very, very doable. Buffalo -11 scares me a little bit because it's so big, but Akron -2 feels like a safe bet.
What do you got? Let's go to the top 25 tonight. You've got Baylor and Iowa State in Waco. Illinois, number 5, Illinois goes to Michigan State. They're 7-point favorites. 10, West Virginia at TCU. They're 7-point favorites. Georgia Tech at Virginia Tech. VT is only a 3-point favorite tonight. What do you make of that?
Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech are kind of similar when it comes to the spread. Virginia Tech being ranked and at home. I think 3 is about right. I don't know if I would favor Virginia Tech as much in this game, but if I had to pick a side, I think Virginia Tech -3 is fair, especially at home, coming off the overtime win at Miami. Tough one at Pitt before that, but all things considered, I think Virginia Tech's probably playing the best ball. If I had to pick a side, I like VT.
Here's what I look at. Today is February 23rd. Georgia Tech's last game was February 20th. Virginia Tech's February 6th.
Sheesh.
So while you got Baylor playing Iowa State, I don't think that's going to be a huge factor. But when you're playing a team like Georgia Tech that's got a winning record in ACC play, they're pretty solid. I think I like Georgia Tech on the money line right there. That's my money line upset of the day. That's a money line upset of the day.
Probably a decent
St. John's at Villanova. Number 8 Villanova, at home against St. John's. St. John's used to be really good, but I used to have like a week and a half ago. Yeah. And now, since then, they've dropped 2 out of the last 3, including against DePaul at home. And DePaul is bad.
And St. John's beat Nova. Like, they beat them by 11 points.
11.
And Villanova is now favored by 11. So I get it's at home. That makes more sense to me. 11 still feels like a lot. I like St. John's plus 11 if I had to pick a side. Again, I probably don't want to touch this one just because I can't figure out why Villanova's 11-point favorites when they just got beat up on. I guess St. John's not playing great, but there's no trend here where I'm like, I like that. There's no trend here.
Villanova at home is dangerous. Villanova's pretty good at home. They're pretty good at home. I know that you take out a lot of the home team advantage with stuff this season because of COVID.
Sure.
Villanova's solid at home. I like Villanova tonight to win it, but I think you're right. St. John's, they don't need to lose by 11. Mike Anderson's got a little bit in the tank in there, head coach at St. John's. You know, he was the head coach at Arkansas.
No kidding.
He was the head coach at Arkansas, and I put all my Monopoly money on St. John's this past weekend at home against a very bad DePaul team, and they lost outright.
They fumbled it. They fumbled the bag.
Mike Anderson's invited cordially to my funeral to let me down one last time.
I saw that too. Okay. Now I'm getting all of it. That's
Mike
funny.
Anderson. That was awful. I'll never put my...
I'm just looking at the rest of the slate.
Yeah, I'll never put all my Monopoly money on St. John's again. Oklahoma, number 7, Oklahoma at Kansas State. Oh, Kansas State. Can't help but feel bad for those guys. They're right there in every game. Oh, and then they win at TCU. Now they're at home against Oklahoma. Their last home game was against Kansas, where they lost 59-41. What say you about OU minus 10.5?
What a shootout, huh? 59-41. A lot of offense in that game. A lot of good shooting in that game. I like Oklahoma minus 10.5. No real trend here that's that exciting. I think Oklahoma minus 10.5. Kansas State at home. Not loving it. Probably not going to play it. Maybe a halftime play, but Oklahoma minus 10.5. I like that. There's no money line play here for me unless you want Kansas State, which I don't know why you would like Kansas State in this game money line, but Oklahoma minus 10.5 is my play.
Did you know the last time that Oklahoma beat a team by 11 points was January 19th? Since then, they've had wins of 7-1-5, a 5-point loss, 7-1-10.
Tonight's the night, then.
Tonight is the night where they win by 8 against Kansas State. Kansas State covers the plus 10.5.
How about Kansas at Texas?
This is the one we're getting into right now. I was excited to go there with you. Texas at home, 2.5-point favorites against Kansas. Money. Sprinkle it all on Kansas money line tonight.
1,000,000%.
The hottest team in the Big 12. Kansas is the hottest team in the Big 12, and they proved they can do it with a win against Texas Tech. Texas just lost to West Virginia after being up by 19.
I'm with you.
You don't do that.
I like Kansas money line. I also really love Kansas probably with the spread. Texas, second worst team in the Big 12 in conference games against the spread.
Really?
They have won 3 games. They have covered 3 games this entire season against the spread in the Big 12. Kansas, like you said, they're hot.
So you're telling
me them plus 2.5.
You're telling me Texas might win it by 1 tonight.
They might win it by 1, but they are not covering. They are not going to cover. Also, Prairie View A&M. I think we probably jumped over that one. It's not an exciting game. At home against Arkansas Pine Bluff minus 16. Prairie View the best team in the country against the spread, so I'm rolling with them as
Period.
well.
They are
just period. I think they're ahead of Duke by a small percentage, but they're the best team.
Against Drake.
They are just ahead of Drake against the spread as well.
Yeah, Drake plays tonight, too. We'll get into that in a second. Ole Miss at Missouri. Number 24, Missouri. Mizzou. 3.5-point favorites at home, but let me tell you what. This Mizzou team, 1 win in their last 4 games. They lost 3 straight prior to that, including a home loss in overtime against Arkansas. Ole Miss was doing great. Really, really good. Until they lost to Mississippi State at home. Mind-boggler, but I love Missouri minus 3.5.
I'm with you. I'm with you for the exact reasons you just said. Missouri also at home. This feels like a no-brainer to me. I'm probably not going to touch it until later, but I really like Missouri minus 3.5.
We're winning Monopoly Monday night.
I think so.
Monopoly Monday night.
I think so.
Outside of that, Drake. Did you see the Drake game?
Is Drake playing? I didn't see that.
Maybe it was yesterday. Maybe they played
yesterday.
yesterday.
Yesterday. Yes,
they played, yes. Oh, and they won by 11.
Yep.
And the spread was?
It was like 10.5.
It was 11.
Really?
It was 11.
I think
so
my book had a 10.5.
Really?
We got it. I think we were able to
dirty
get
dog.
it.
Wow. Louisville, Notre Dame. Louisville's at home and 4.5-point favorites against Notre Dame. The wheels are falling off for Louisville. The wheels are falling off after the loss at North Carolina, 99-54. Congratulations, Armstrong. Very nicely done. They're not very good on the road, but they play better at home. They smacked Georgia Tech at home. Notre Dame just lost at Syracuse by 8. This is a tough one, although they did win at Duke, and Duke's playing a lot better right now. What say you about Louisville? Mind you, Louisville's coming off of a COVID break.
I'm getting confused because I don't understand why all the analytics like Louisville, like the power index, for whatever that's worth, favors Louisville 57%. They're favored by 4.5. Like that always makes me very concerned when stuff doesn't add up with the analytics and what like other experts, quote unquote, what Vegas is saying. So for that reason, like they say on Shark Tank, I'm out. I'm touching this game. If I had to pick a side, I'm with you. I think Notre Dame 4.5 feels like a better play.
How about Armstrong? Did you watch the game between Louisville and North Carolina?
I did not.
You did not? Okay. It just seems like Louisville's really, really bad at basketball right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think UNC, from what I saw, from what I read, kind of turned it on like a whole nother level.
All the blue
in
bloods
that
did.
specific game.
Yeah.
And because people were saying like if this UNC team, if UNC plays like this, they're like a Elite 8 team. That's what people were saying. So I don't know that Louisville is really that bad. I think it was more North Carolina just completely turned it on another level.
You think North Carolina wins the ACC tournament?
I think the UNC style of play is very much, it's super fast paced and everyone has to be working together, right? And so with all their freshmen this year, it was a rough start, but UNC always gets better at the end they always peak at the end of the season because it's just the style of play is you just have to play a lot. And so I wouldn't be surprised.
Interesting.
I wouldn't bet against them. I don't know that they win the ACC tournament, but I mean, I could see them making a run in the NCAA tournament.
Why do you think it is that all the Blue Bloods are playing well right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I think with the exception of Michigan State, they've all been tearing it up. And I think it's because the pressure is off. Like for Duke, you're not making the tournament. So right now it's just like, hey, we're probably just as talented, if not more talented than everybody we're playing against.
Yeah.
We're probably going to be better coached than anyone we're playing against. So I think like the pressure of not having to be Duke so much is off and they're able to just kind of cut it loose. Maybe the same thing for North Carolina. Like you're going to be better coached. You have more talent than 95% of the teams you're probably playing against.
This week,
they're ripping it.
Yeah, and like North Carolina's freshmen are just suddenly turning it on. Like Kerwin Walton, UNC player, just won ACC Freshman of the Year, and that's the 4th freshman for UNC to win ACC Freshman of the Week. I mean,
this year,
okay, interesting.
4th this year, and that's only happened once before in ACC history in like the 70s.
Interesting.
So
I bet that team was pretty good too. I would think.
It was a Wake Forest team. I'm not sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like all the Blue Bloods right now except for Michigan State. Michigan State, I can't buy into. I don't know what's going on there.
You buying into Michigan? You think Michigan might vie with Baylor and Gonzaga for the best team in the country?
I'm kind of drinking the Kool-Aid, especially early in the year. We saw Michigan just they had like a stretch of like 3 or 4 games. They just had incredible wins against like really highly ranked teams. I'm drinking the Michigan Kool-Aid for right now. I'll have to see how they play in the Big Ten tournament, but as it stands right now, I think they are a contender to really make some noise.
Is there anybody else
in the Big Ten, or just in terms of
in general that could vie with Baylor or Gonzaga?
It would be tough for me to sit here and make an argument for anyone outside of that. No.
Wow.
I think those are your teams.
Anything can happen.
Right. Someone gets hot. I think right now I'd have a hard time making an argument for the data we have right now. Like maybe Illinois gets hot and plays really well down the stretch. Maybe Villanova with a great coach like Jay Wright, they kind of figured out in March. But I don't know. I don't think with what we have to go off of right now, you can make an argument outside of those 3 teams.
All right. Let's pick them today.
Also, UConn. They're amazing as a spread. UConn minus 4.5 at Georgetown.
Oh.
Lock it up.
At Georgetown?
At Georgetown.
I like that. And Georgetown's not very good. Today,
Uh-oh.
we are playing Dead or Alive. Do we have the music?
We do have the music.
This is tough. It's such an upbeat song for such a dark game.
It is Dead or Alive on your Tuesday. Number 1, the first celebrity. These are actors and actresses.
Okay.
This is Shirley Temple. Is Shirley Temple dead or alive?
Rest in peace, Shirley Temple.
Yeah,
really?
One of the goats.
You think so? Well, she is dead.
Animal crackers in my soup.
It would have been 93 today. Old Shirley Temple would have been 93. Would have been a big day for the Temple family.
Great
Would have been 93.
Yeah,
great,
you know
great drink
they originate from Temple, Texas. Did you know that?
True story?
Nope. Number 2, Tom
didn't believe that for 1
Selleck.
second.
Tom Selleck was the boyfriend.
He's alive.
He's in a lot of stuff. Tom Selleck, boyfriend
From 3
of
Men and a
Monica in Friends.
3 Men and a Baby?
Yeah, 3 Men and a Baby.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He's alive.
Alive.
He is alive. He's 76 today.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton, I know him well from Frailty. He was in that one baseball movie, too.
Alive.
Bill Paxton.
I don't know.
Twister. Bill Paxton, Twister. He was in Titanic, Apollo 13. I think he directed most of these.
You say he's alive, Armstrong? Armstrong knows.
I say alive.
Let me get.
I'll go dead because otherwise I'd be copying Armstrong.
Yeah,
I think
top
he,
10
I,
Bill
I think
Paxton.
he knows.
Look,
though.
Bill Paxton. Look, Bill Paxton right here. This guy.
Dude, I'm not recognizing
Apollo
him, unfortunately.
13. Yeah, he is dead. Bill Paxton's dead, which
Okay.
is like super
Really?
disappointing because I like Bill Paxton a lot. So yeah, take that, you guys.
I said dead.
Did you? I thought you said alive. You said you're going with
I
Armstrong.
said to go against Armstrong.
To go against
I had no
Armstrong.
idea. Not
Andy-
because I knew, just because I wanted to be a
Andy Griffith.
contrarian.
Made popular by the Andy Griffith Show.
It's a theme song.
Yes, that Andy Griffith.
Yeah, he's dead. I love Andy Griffin.
Dead or alive? He is dead. Andy Griffith is dead. He would have been 95 today. Ron Howard, who played Opie.
Opie, yeah, he's alive.
He's alive? Ron Howard
He's
is?
alive. And
Is he?
Yeah, I want you answer first because
Well, you're saying yes really confidently. I'm rolling with alive.
he's alive, and he directed Solo. He's like a famous director now.
He is alive.
So
Wow,
like
that's
Star Wars.
really anticlimactic. I got to make this harder.
I thought Free Solo at first.
Dick Van Dyke from the Dick Van Dyke Show.
He's dead. Love Dick Van Dyke, but he's dead.
Alive.
He is alive.
No,
he
he's
was just
alive?
in
You
Mary
just killed
Poppins
him.
Returns.
You just killed him. You just killed him.
No.
He was
He's
just in
95.
Mary Poppins Returns.
He was not at the museum, too. I love Dick Van Dyke.
He's alive.
Yeah,
we were watching Not at the
still
Museum the
got
other night.
it, too.
I was watching with my friends,
Really?
and they were like, Dick Van Dyke. And I was like, yeah, he's dead. And they were like,
I thought he was
he's
dead.
not.
I really thought he was
And I
dead.
was like, no, Dick Van Dyke's very dead. And they were like, no.
This is great news, though.
The
I'm really
other guy-
glad
yeah,
that he's
no,
alive.
He's still
It's
got
not
it,
great.
too.
You just killed him.
Yeah, I
got
guess
moves.
not. I guess
You just killed him.
he's on the clock now.
Matthew Broderick.
Can't do that to me.
Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick.
What's he in?
Is he he's Ferris Bueller?
He's Ferris Bueller.
So I'm gonna say he's alive.
He's alive.
He is alive.
He's also Simba,
really
the singing voice of Simba in Lion
That's
King.
impressive.
Maybe.
I thought Childish Gambino
Yes,
was
I think
the
he is.
singing
Because
voice
he was
of
on
Simba.
Broadway. He got to start on Broadway.
Wasn't Childish
I'm gonna
Gambino
look this up
Donald
right
Glover Simba at one point
That's in the. I'm talking about
in the live action?
Gary Busey. Dead or alive, Gary Busey. The biggest smile in Hollywood.
What is he in?
Yeah, he's
I don't
Simba.
know. I don't know if I know Gary Busey.
He's Simba in which one? In the musical?
On Broadway, he is.
In the
who's Gary
original
Busey?
animated movie, he's Matthew Broderick plays grown-up Simba.
Really?
Oh, in the original.
In the original animated,
Wow.
because
Oh.
he's
I
a
think-
Broadway
I
guy,
think he's
so he's
alive.
a singer.
I think Gary Busey's alive. That's interesting.
Gary
I didn't know
Busey,
that.
alive.
He's alive. Gary Busey's alive.
These are all well-known people today.
Anthony Hopkins.
He's alive.
Dude, I haven't known a lot of these people. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Really?
This is Anthony Hopkins is
John Hopkins' brother.
no, he's
Yes.
from Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs.
I never saw
Hannibal Lecter.
Hello,
Never saw
Clarice. Did you know the words "Hello, Clarice" were never uttered once in that movie? Look it up.
I believe that.
Mandela effect.
that. I'll say that's funny. Anthony Hopkins.
You know that Luke, I am your father,
I'll
is
say
Never
dead.
said.
is never said.
He's
Right.
alive. So
He's alive.
basically, you guys tied today.
Great.
You know Bernstein Bears? Y'all
I'm
heard
okay
about
with
that? You heard about
You
the-
only killed one person today, too.
I feel like I knew everybody today.
Yeah, I wanted to make it a little bit easier than normal.
Yeah.
Like typically, they're kind of obscure.
Y'all
but
heard
today,
of the
And we learned things.
I was
Or y'all learned
impressed.
things about Matthew
Yeah.
Broderick and Simba.
yeah,
and Dick
we
Van
did.
Dyke?
And Dick Van Dyke.
Dick Van
Dick
Dyke.
Van Dyke's alive. I've been excited about that for a
Hallelujah.
while. I had a rough week last week until I found out Dick Van Dyke's alive.
That's a big get. That's a big get for the
get.
world.
That's a huge
get.
How about
what a
Bernstein?
draft pick.
Have y'all heard? This is pretty off topic, but the Nelson Mandela effect. Have y'all heard of the Bernstein Bears effect?
No.
Yeah, where it's not spelled right.
Yeah, it's spelled completely differently than like 90%
Did you know
of
Febreze
people.
only has one E?
No kidding.
The Bernstein Bears.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
What?
I know, Mandela effect's a real thing. I'm Drake Toll, that's J.D. Pickell, Armstrong, Sims, Cole's here. Grayson Gruntaver joins us in a second for the big board. This is Up Tempo.
Across the NCAA last night, Big Monday saw its fair share of thrillers, starting in the Big 12 with Oklahoma State taking 18th-ranked Texas Tech to overtime at home.
All right, there it is. McClung for three. Missed it all. Shannon, a three. Underneath. Easy bucket. Wow.
Despite late-game heroics from the Red Raiders, the Cowboys pulled out a 74-69 win thanks to 20 points from Cade Cunningham. Elsewhere, 19th-ranked USC bested Oregon at home 72-58. Drake improved to 23-2 with a win over Evansville 74-63, and Duke blew out Syracuse at home 85-71. On the women's side, number 4 Stanford took care of business to move to 21-2 on the season with a 62-48 home win over number 9 Arizona, and Notre Dame won at Pittsburgh 59-48. In baseball, number 7 Mississippi State beat 3 Texas Tech 11-5. Number 6 Ole Miss handled number 9 Texas 8-1. Number 8 Arkansas knocked off 10th-ranked TCU 4-1, and Baylor fell to UT Rio Grande Valley 7-4 to lose their opening series 2-1. And tonight, Baylor men's basketball returns to action for the first time in 21 days with a home matchup against 2-16 Iowa State, starting a trek 3 games in 6 days. The game is at 7 p.m. on Big 12 Now. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This is Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
What you do in privacy is your own business. What you do in public with your truck, well, that's our business at Pickup Outfitters. In your garage, it's okay for your truck to parade around in the nude with no accessories. Hey, this is still America. But when you bring your truck out in public, it's just common decency to put an outfit on your truck. And that's where we come in at Pickup Outfitters. Put a cover on that bed. Cover your rear end with a bumper and a hitch, for goodness sakes. There are women and children on the roads. And guys, don't leave your tools exposed. Put them in a toolbox. Be proud of your truck and stand tall with a lift kit. Or improve your truck's posture with a leveling kit. Add some class to your pickup with new wheels and tires. Or dress up for a date with your new RV or boat with a fifth wheel or a receiver hitch. At Pickup Outfitters, we're dedicating to making the roads decent for all Central Texans. So when taking your truck out in public, remember your manners and accessorize it properly with an outfit from Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. It is Tuesday. We got Grayson Grunday for joining us for the big board, talking Baylor recruiting, and what a time to do it. Three since we talked last. 3 new commits for Baylor. And while I would love to start an order, something tells me we have to start with Kelsey Johnson because he was on the show yesterday. I don't know if you got to see that. Now, I know you did get to talk to him. He is awesome.
He's a great kid, and I was talking just kind of in my head going through kind of his process, and he was talking to the Baylor staff all the way back in October. Really? So he's a guy who's been on the radar for a while but didn't get the offer until 2 weeks ago. But, yeah, I talked to him the night before. He was really, really excited, obviously, to make his decision. He told me about the prank he pulled on James Blanchard as well, which was really funny. We dove deep into that. Yeah, it was hilarious. He completely fooled them, made them all upset that he was going to Memphis, and then turned the table a little bit. But he was a guy that I think you kind of saw the writing on the wall a little bit, that he was going to be a Baylor Bear. It was his best offer, and it was also a staff that had built just such a great relationship with him. Juice Johnson was a big part of that. He was his first initial contact with Baylor. James Blanchard was a big part. And then, of course, Jeff Grimes, the fact that he's tight ends coach and the Baylor offensive coordinator really just solidified the deal for Kelsey. And now I know I continue to stay in contact with him, and he's just excited to bring more guys on with him, honestly. He's ready to go. He's ready to recruit for this class and for this staff, and I think it's going to be a match made in heaven. He's also a very, very talented player as well on that end. So he can do a lot of things, very versatile.
Is there a player you can compare him to?
Yeah, I think it's really hard to compare guys, especially at the tight end position where, I would love to compare him to a Baylor player.
Right.
And Baylor just hasn't had many tight ends or explosive playmakers like that at that position. But 6'3", 230 pounds, I don't know that I really have a guy that I really want to go out on the limb of to compare him to, but what I will say is he can block. He's very physical, to go along with the fact that he has 831 yards and 14 touchdowns in 2 seasons on just 45 catches. So that's high-level production. And one thing I love about tight ends, especially, is guys who can catch the football and make big plays after catching the football. I think that's really an underrated quality. He's not just a guy that's going to catch the ball and fall down at a first down marker. He's going to catch the ball and take off and try to make explosive and big plays.
So outside of Kelsey Johnson, he's not the only tight end commit that Baylor's wound up with in the last few days. Talk about that.
Yeah, they went and got another tight end who I know everyone had heard about. I'd posted a lot of notes about him, but he was kind of under the radar a little bit, I think, for the simple fact that he just doesn't have a crazy offer list. I mean, you look at Memphis, Houston, Rice, Yale, schools like that, but he's one who I actually have a little bit better of a comparison for. He reminds me a little bit of a mix between 2 Baylor tight ends, actually, Ben Sims and Christoph Henley. If you kind of molded them together into one, you kind of have Cody Mladinka, because he can line up on the outside, much like Ben Sims did at Clark High School in San Antonio, where he was just an elite wide receiver option. They just throw the ball up to him. Cody does some of that, but also Cody's a very physical blocker, a guy who can really get to the second level and make blocks on linebackers, which is something Christoph could do when he was coming to Baylor. So very solid player, 6'4", 235 pounds already. He'll have no problem getting to around 260 and really making a contribution in the run game and in the pass game.
So with those 2 guys, is their style of play, how different would you say that is?
Very different. But I will say the one thing that they have in common is that they're not afraid to put their hand in the ground, and they're not afraid to go block somebody, because I think something that I keep hearing reiterated is Jeff Grimes wants to have the ability to play 2 or 3 tight ends on the field at the same time, whether that means bringing in an H-back for certain situations. So you have to be able to block. That just is a necessity. But then on the flip side, I think Kelsey's a much better playmaker with the ball in his hands, whereas Cody might be at this moment a little bit better of a red zone threat because he's a little bit taller, a little bit bigger. But both have very high upside, and I think that they fit what Grimes is trying to build at the tight end position.
So outside of those two guys, too, you have Colton Price, offensive lineman from Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
How big? That's the first O-lineman that Baylor's picked up in this class. How big is that to get those dominoes to fall?
Yeah, it's just big because they have 4 more spots probably in this class for offensive linemen. So they have a lot of work still to do, and Colton Price is just the beginning of that. And his size, his frame, 6'4", 275 pounds, I view him as pretty much a sure thing to play guard. I don't think he's going to move outside and play tackle. But 11-inch hands, which is pretty crazy. That's NFL-type hands for an offensive lineman. Shot put ability, he's probably going to throw around 50 this year, which is very similar to what Tate Williams did last year. He threw, I think, almost 52, but he was in last year's class, and that's who the comp is for him, is Tate Williams. I don't think he's quite the athlete that Tate Williams is, not quite that level, but very similar, small town high school, played both sides of the ball, made an impact both ways, really much better in the run game than the pass game at this point in his career, but plenty to like, plenty of upside, plenty of athleticism.
With those 3 guys, Johnson, Ladinka, and then Price, those 3 recruits, how big are they to stable this class early on? Does that bode well for Baylor moving forward, or are those guys that are pretty much middle of the mix?
Yeah, I think, they had to address the tight end position. They were always going to take 2 in this class, and really their top targets were Ladinka, Kelsey Johnson, and Jason Llewellyn, who from Aledo, he committed to Oklahoma a little bit earlier in the week. So to get 2 of your top 3 guys at the tight end position, that's exactly what you want. And so they were able to do that. I think that's massive. That allows them to kind of move on to the next position a little bit. And as far as the offensive line goes, Colton Price, that's just getting the ball rolling on the offensive line because they really have to do a good job at that position this year, which is something we've been saying for, I feel like, forever now. But yeah, it's a good starting point, and the bigger thing is momentum. So 3 days, 3 commits. I think the staff has to be thrilled with that, and I could see more coming in the near future.
So talk about that a little bit, what the outlook is for Baylor from a recruiting standpoint in the next couple of weeks. Are there any guys that you feel like are right there on the cusp of saying, okay, out of 2022, I'm ready to commit to Baylor?
Yeah, so there's a few guys that I think it's important to keep an eye on, and 2 of them have a lot to do with Baylor's new hire, actually. So cornerbacks coach Kevin Curtis comes over from SMU, and he's already got a good relationship with a lot of the guys, especially in the Dallas area. And 2 of Baylor's top cornerback targets happen to be from the Dallas area. Both have SMU offers, and both know Kevin Curtis really well. So I'll start with those guys. Jalen Peoples out of Cedar Hill, obviously the big connection between he and Joey McGuire. That's very apparent because Joey coached there, of course, for many, many years. So Jalen is a guy who posted on Twitter the other day that he had a big announcement coming on Saturday. I do believe that's probably going to be a commitment announcement on Saturday, and he's got 27 schools that he's choosing between, but I think Baylor has a great shot. He really, really liked the addition of Kevin Curtis. He made that known on Twitter. Also, just the relationship he's had with them for a long time. It seems like it's just trending in that direction. So Jalen Peoples, I do believe, could make his decision as early as Saturday to be, possibly a Baylor Bear or one of his other schools. The other one is Anthony Davis out of Dallas Skyline High School.
Not Anthony Davis?
Not AD from the Lakers. Although Baylor would probably take him.
He has eligibility left.
3 years, right? Yeah, 3 years. Oh, yeah. he'd make this team even better. But yeah, Anthony Davis, Dallas Skyline, really, really good player, really, really unknown player a little bit. He only has, I think, 7 offers at this point. Got the Baylor offer, got the SMU offer the same day. So Kevin Curtis, great relationship there. And I know just talking to him, that made a big impact on him, that hiring. So good spot for Baylor to be in with 2 of their top cornerback options and a position that they really do need to address in this class.
With the guys so far that have recruited and those that you say in the next couple of weeks may go ahead and make their decision, is there a specific one where you think, okay, Baylor got a guy that you didn't necessarily think they were going to get?
Ooh, in the coming weeks that I think...
Not only in the coming weeks, but the guys have already committed between Johnson and then Colton Price, Ladenka in the last couple of days. Were you pretty confident those 3 and then the decisions that may be upcoming, that they were all Baylor all the way?
Yeah, I was very confident in the other 3. I had predictions in for Kelsey Johnson and Colton Price. I pretty much knew about Cody yesterday morning, but obviously it's kind of one of those situations where you don't want to put a prediction in the same day that a kid's making a decision, because then you're kind of just taking their moment. So didn't put anything in for him, but obviously that one was kind of, the writing was on the wall a little bit just because of his offer list. If he was going to make a decision soon, it seemed like Baylor was going to be the likely option. So no surprises yet. But I will say, I think as things continue, there are some bigger names that Baylor's going to go after that could be those kind of class flippers, if you want to put it in that way, because they could take Baylor from a mid-level number 6 in the conference to maybe number 4 or 3 in the conference. Guys such as North Shore's Chris Ross, who was supposed to make his decision last Friday. He postponed it. He'd fit that bill.
Him postponing that, is that good for Baylor?
I think either way it's going to be a tough race. His top 4 was LSU, Oklahoma, Texas, and then Baylor. I felt like Baylor had the edge if he would have made the decision on Friday, so it's hard for me to say that Baylor kind of is going to benefit from him waiting. I think it's probably going to make it a little bit harder, but good news is he's got a great relationship with the staff. James Blanchard, Dennis Johnson have done a great job recruiting him. So anything can happen. There's a lot of guys in this class that are like that just because of the relationships that, Brian Nance and James Blanchard and really their whole staff has built with some of these guys.
Before we move a little bit more into 2022, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the hiring of a cornerback coach. Now just, what has it been, 2 or 3 days ago, where Baylor announced, hey, we're going with Kevin Curtis as our guy from SMU. What can you tell us about Curtis, and then what does that do for recruiting?
Yeah, so I think one thing to keep in mind when Baylor made this hire was it was going to be pretty focused on recruiting. And the reason for that is because they really have everything in place with the defensive staff to thrive. Now it's just about getting more talent. And I mean, you saw that last year. Brian Stewart, great coach. Let me just put that out there. Maryland's getting a great coach. He's going to come in, be defense coordinator for them, and do a great job. But he's not necessarily what Baylor needs right now, because they need someone who's going to be a workhorse on the recruiting trail. Right. That's going to bring in more talent. And a guy who knows the Dallas-Fort Worth area really well, because you recruit a lot of guys from that area. So you want guys with skin on the wall there. So I think that he was a perfect hire for what they were looking for. And I think when you have coaches like Ron Roberts and Dave Aranda already in place, you don't really need to worry as much about the coaching aspect or the how long has he been a coach aspect. You need a guy that's going to bring in more talent for those guys to mold.
With from a recruiting standpoint, what his connections are, what can you tell us about his ties in the state of Texas that are going to help Baylor moving forward? And does this mean maybe a couple of those guys he's already talking to will flip over? Yeah, so I mean, he went to, I think he knew Dave Aranda from his days at Texas Tech, so that's kind of the initial connection there. But SMU is like right in the center of
the whole Dallas Metroplex, what you're recruiting type area. And they've done a great job. Rashad Samples is a huge reason for that at SMU. But he's recruited Duncanville. He's recruited Cedar Hill. He's recruited DeSoto. All these big schools, and that's where his connections really come in. And like I said, I mean, you're already looking at 2 top cornerback options that he already has great relationships with. So if they're able to close on those 2 guys, I mean, he's already been worth the hire because that's 2 big lands for the recruiting class.
From a scheme standpoint, do you think Baylor will see anything change with that hire, or is this something, like you said, that the defensive staff is pretty much set with what they're going to do, and this hire is just going to reaffirm recruiting?
Yeah, I think schematically it's going to be Dave Aranda and Ron Roberts' defense, but it's going to be on Kevin Curtis to make sure that these guys are getting better, obviously, and trying to push them to another level. We saw Raleigh Tejada last year have a great season, and we saw Kalen Barnes have a great season when he wasn't hurt. But I do think that there is area for improvement. I think Dave Aranda would like to play more press coverage than he has in the past, and so than he did last year. So I think that's the one area that you could see them turn the corner a little bit, especially if they start to play some of these younger guys who I do believe have a little bit more of what Dave Aranda is looking for. They're just not quite ready to play consistent roles yet.
More recruiting in 2022. What do you got? What do you see for this Baylor squad moving forward recruiting? Now, 5 commitments. And kind of where are they in comparison to where they typically would be in this time of year?
Yeah, I think they're kind of right in the same spot that they have been in the past. This momentum is really not something that I'm necessarily surprised by. It makes a whole lot of sense. I think last year, I believe it was last year was the year where they caught fire in March and they rode that fire all the way through May. I'm looking at it now. I think they got like 11 commits between the beginning of March to the end of May. And so I could see something similar happening in this class, maybe from, obviously we're in February, so maybe February to May. It's just a weird year. Dead period got extended, so May 31st is now the date. But, the way the NCAA has handled this, it might get pushed even further. We'll see. But that also throws another wrinkle in it because most times you get guys on visits and then you're able to land a bunch of guys after that. And that's exactly what happened in the 2021 classes. Even though they weren't allowed to visit, midway through March, Baylor still got their junior day in on March 1st. And March 1st was the first day they landed Javon Gibson. And then from that point on is when they really rode that momentum. So my question is this going to be the momentum point, or is there going to be another one in the future once guys are maybe allowed to visit that could propel this class to another level? But 5 right now is a good starting point. I do believe they're probably going to take a bigger class this year, maybe 23, 24 guys. So still a long way to go.
So with the dead period being extended, how frustrating is that for Power 5 teams? And what does that say to the powerhouses of college football moving forward? How could that affect even the landscape of the game?
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting, I guess, thing to think about. I was texting with a coach, not a Baylor coach, but from another school, who was telling me that this has actually benefited them, which I found really interesting because you go, how is this benefiting you? Well, if you don't have the, history, or if you don't have the facilities that some other schools have, then it makes total sense because, you don't want players to go visit other schools, and you don't necessarily want them to visit you because you don't have the facilities necessary. But in Baylor's case, I think it is tough because Baylor's biggest draw and what they've done year after year is find guys early, get guys on campus early, make them fall in love with Baylor early, and then you're able to sustain big runs from, late offers from Oklahoma or Texas. It's still difficult, but it gives you a much better chance. And so Baylor's missing that. Other Power 5 schools are missing that as well. I think the bigger names are probably benefiting the most from this because, you get a call from Nick Saban. He doesn't necessarily have to take you on campus. You don't have to go to other schools. You just see the track record, see the NFL draft picks. It's very easy to sell, and he doesn't really have to recruit you on campus. So, I think those mid-level schools are who it's hurting the worst, and Baylor happens to be one of those.
With the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line, we got a text in, says, ask Grayson if Coach Bell was serious about the up-tempo offense he was talking about and how that would affect recruiting. So I'm not positive what exactly that means. Maybe you better understand that better.
Yeah, I think, I assume he's referring to the interview that Sean Bell did with Smokey and the guys on SicEm365 Radio, and he was talking about how Jeff Grimes and the philosophy is going to be, play fast, play up tempo until Dave Aranda says, all right, we need to slow it down or whatnot. So I think he's very serious about that. I think that if you're talking about recruiting, players like to score points.
Yeah.
And so if you're scoring a lot of points, you're definitely going to draw more attention from, higher name wide receivers, higher name quarterbacks, higher name running backs. Players like to score points. And I mean, it makes sense. That's how you get drafted. That's how you show off your skills at the next level. So I do think that is something they want to do. And I do think it is something that will benefit them in recruiting. And I think that's one of the reasons why you don't want to fill up the class too early, because Baylor could have a very nice season and maybe try to land some guys later on in the process. So if they stop around, 16 guys before the season, if they get to that number and then save some spots for during the season and after the season, it really would not surprise me.
All right, with 2023 then, where does Baylor sit currently? Are there any updates, any new news or trends that you see in the recruiting class of 2023?
Well, another huge weekend of offers that went out. I mean, they really have been doing a great job at spreading around the offers, evaluating 2023 prospects, and just trying to be the first one there. And, you saw they offered a running back in the 2023 class, a defensive back, 2 defensive backs in the 2023 class, and a wide receiver. So they're really trying to find guys who they feel like have high upside and who could turn into that hidden gem, that 4-star guy, and they were the first ones there. Baylor's done a good job with that so far, and I think that's really the main trend right now. I don't foresee any commits coming in the near future, but I do think that they've made some waves with, in my opinion, I mean, there's a chance, truthfully, that in the 2023 class, they got out to a big enough lead early that they happened to land, a top 15 type prospect in the state, maybe even top 10, because they just got in early.
With I like that. I like the sound of top 15, top 10 of the state. That prospect is it because Baylor's starting so early that's going to give them that edge, or is it the experience of the coaching staff, or do those work together?
They kind of work together. And the other thing that I need to also mention is the fact that Dave Aranda is a defensive guru, and he's known for that. So most of the prospects that they have a big early lead on are defensive players that are very, very good. I've mentioned Christian Brathwaite out of Cy Ranch before. He's a name that to definitely keep an eye on. He's the type of guy who a year from now could have 30 offers, one of those being an Alabama type. I mean, he is that kind of player. So Baylor getting out to an early lead on him, he's one that they got to land, and that's just how it is. There's a few other guys like that as well. Corey Kelly, a big defensive lineman out of the Houston area. He's another one who Baylor definitely has their eye on, already offered him. So they're trying to make sure that they land some big key pieces, especially in that front 7 on the defensive side of the ball.
With grad transfers, because I know we've kind of gotten ahead of ourselves on 2022, 2023, but Baylor's still on the recruiting trail right now for next season. Is there anything more? I know you talked about, was it Justice O?
Yeah, Justice O.
From UNLV.
He's the big one, yeah.
Is there any movement there with him?
Well, I mean, yeah, nothing really, because they offered him. So now it's just about him making a decision. It seems like he's taking his time a little bit, and I don't really know why, because Baylor's his best offer right now, and I just feel like it's such a good fit. So it wouldn't shock me if that was announced or if he was able to commit sometime in the near future. It would not shock me. I think it's too good of a fit, and it makes too much sense for it not to happen.
And then anybody else on the recruiting trail in 2021 that you're looking at right now that you think, okay, this is a guy that could get an offer and could be in a Baylor uniform next season?
Yeah, so there's 2 names. So I'll start with kind of the one that just popped on the radar this weekend, which his name's Kingsley Ugwu, and he's out of Hutchinson Community College. So he's a JUCO.
That's Kansas, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's in Kansas. But he's an interesting one because I didn't expect Baylor to offer any JUCOs until they saw them play this year. And Baylor just decided to go ahead and offer him. So obviously they see something in him. 6'4", 310 pounds. Big dude. Yeah, and a guy who would get on campus for the fall. Maybe the summer. He wasn't sure on that. But 4 years to play 3, so lots of time left for him. So he was a new name to drop. Baylor's in a good spot there early, but still some work to do. But the bigger name that I want to focus on, spend more time on at this moment, is a Norfolk State grad transfer, Kenneth KJ Kirby. And he entered the portal, I guess it's probably, 5 days ago now? Yeah, 6 days ago, he entered the portal. Baylor reached out early and kind of had communication with him after he entered the portal and started talking to him, is starting to build a little bit of a relationship. Have not offered yet, but I do think that will come this week. I do think Baylor will offer him this week. 6'5", 305 pounds. Biggest thing for him, though, he has started 34 career games, and all of those at left tackle. So he has played tackle exclusively for 34 career starts, was first team All-MEAC back in 2019 because they didn't play last year, and then he was also a preseason first teamer. So he's a very, very talented player and a guy who I think would come in, fit the scheme really well, and start at right tackle for Baylor from day one. So he's an interesting name. He's got Georgia Tech and Maryland offers already. Eric Mateos has reached out, so he's got some some information coming to him. And I also think 1 year of eligibility fits what they're looking for. Grad transfer, won't take up a scholarship the year after, but will come in and be a potential NFL draft pick. Honestly, he had some scouting reports that had him a draft pick this year. So he'd be a very nice pickup and is already drawing attention from Power Fives.
So you're saying he'd get 1 year? Is that correct?
1 year.
1 year? And that period?
Period. No chance at 2 years.
Gotcha.
Yes, he's a grad transfer. Some grad transfers will come in with 2 years. That happens occasionally, but yeah, he'll only have one.
With JUCOs and what you're seeing right now across the country in the transfer portal, do you think Baylor targets anything outside of the offensive line going into next year? Is there another position they really need something right now?
Oh, that's a good question. The offensive line has really been the focal point since day one, so I do think that is where they're going to look. But I will say, if a grad transfer who can rush the passer enters the portal, that they think is a sure thing, kind of like a William Bradley King. You just think he's a sure thing. He's going to come in. If you play a full season, he's going to get at least 8 sacks. I think they would very much look at that position. Outside of that, though, I really don't think so. I think they feel good about quarterback, which would have been a position you could potentially make a case for. I think they feel good about the secondary with the veteran presences that they have with Christian Morgan, JT Woods, Riley Tejada, Kalen Barnes. So I think if they were to bring in someone, it'd have to be a best available type. And again, it'd probably have to be someone that they think could play day one, or else you're kind of wasting a scholarship for you, and you're also kind of wasting the player's time if you're just going to bring them in to be a backup.
Yeah, where is Baylor right now from a scholarship standpoint? I mean, how full is this squad becoming this offseason?
Yeah, so it's definitely fluctuating.
Okay.
So right now, I think at this moment, the last count I did, I think they're at 82. So I think they have 3 left. Obviously, this year is weird because they're going to go over, but you just have to be back to 85 by next year, just because the rule where seniors get the year back. But I think looking at it from how I've kind of done the math, I think 3 spots to add guys, but I think, again, they would much rather guys who only have 1 year, or guys who are maybe only going to play 1 year before going to the draft. That's kind of the ideal situation, so it's easier to get back down to that number.
Also, so with everything that Baylor's doing right now in the transfer portal, the 3 commitments we've had since we talked last, the outlook of 2023, where would you grade Baylor and the new staff right now and what they've done recruiting so far?
Yeah, I think right now I'm probably, and I know people are going to want to say A plus home run. Yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm probably at a B. And the reason I say that is because, yes, they've garnered momentum. They've been able to add some prospects at key positions, but they haven't really gone out and said, okay, this is my top guy on the board. I'm going to land him and I'm going to beat out in Oklahoma or something like that. If they had Chris Ross commit in this class currently, I'd give him an A+ for sure because he's a difference maker. But they haven't won that big battle yet that would tell me, okay, something's turning in that right direction. But again, I think the season is something that will help them drastically in that regard.
You talked about the big battle that Baylor could win. Then who is the next player, the next commit that you think, okay, there's a big battle, and I think Baylor's actually going to win it?
Oh, man. I think that I mentioned Jalen Peoples. And, he's not necessarily the biggest battle that you could win, but 27 offers, I mean, he would be a big one. I know he's got, quite a few good ones, a few SEC offers, a few Big Ten offers. So he'd be the one where I would start to maybe climb that ranking up to a B+, probably. B+, that's your first big battle win. And then from there on, it's one of those, can you go out and can you find a way to steal one of the big fish? And the big fish are Jere Bledsoe out of Bremen, defensive lineman. Chris Ross out of North Shore, Trey Emery out of Mount Pleasant. Can you land those guys on the defensive line? On the offensive line, can you go out and shock the entire recruiting landscape and land a guy like Neto Umeozula? If you can land him, oh man, I mean that's a guy with 40 offers and a guy who's got every big offer you could possibly think of. Can you go out and win that battle?
Right.
That would be the next step to getting them to that A+ ranking. But again, Baylor's not built on players.
Right.
They're not. They're built on their culture. They're built on the people. And if you can land one every year, you're in good shape.
That was my next question for you, and this is kind of where I want to end things is, does it feel like this staff, I would say Scott Drew recruits personalities before he recruits athletes. Do you think that this football staff right now, that they are recruiting personalities over athletic ability?
So that's actually a really good question because I agree with you with Scott Drew. But the funny part is I think, you're still going to see they want personality.
Right.
But, I mean, let's be real here. They're going to start landing, top 15, top 10 type guys who, okay, yeah, he's got an okay personality, but you know what? He's going to go win a lot of games.
Right.
And now we can recruit the talent. I think Baylor football's in that same spot, but I will say this staff and Matt Rule's staff, they want good people who they think will also fit into their culture, who will also turn into great football players in their scheme. So, yeah, I agree 100% at this moment. That's what they're going for.
Well, that's going to be important because Baylor has that culture, whether it be football, basketball, or just academics in general. And that's what Kelsey Johnson Jr. talking yesterday about academics and how he wants to value that moving forward was awesome.
He wants to be an engineer.
That's
I don't know if he said that, but he wants to be an engineer.
I mean, that was his first thing. He's like, man, the academics are crazy. Yeah. Like, that's why he's coming here. And that's really good to hear from a recruit to know that they're driven toward that, not just football. I want to play in the league. You get a lot of those guys that are just – so, okay. Grayson's going to be joining us again at about 1:10. We're going to break down maybe around 1:30. We're going to hear from Scott Drew later on in the show today. But we're going to go ahead and break down, at that point, some Sick 'em Pick 'em because you have some stuff going on today. And then the Bear Games questions of the day and the matchups of the day. But when we come back, Matthew Postins of Heartland College Sports comes on to talk Big 12 basketball this week, break down last night's game, preview tonight's game between Baylor and Iowa State. We'll talk all things basketball coming up with Matthew Postins. I'm Drake Toll, Grayson Gruntaver, Armstrong Sims, Cole's here, Jack's here, and this is Up Tempo.
Across the NCAA last night, Big Monday saw its fair share of thrillers, starting in the Big 12 with Oklahoma State taking 18th-ranked Texas Tech to overtime at home.
All right, there it is. McClung for three. Missed it all. Shannon, a three. Underneath. Easy bucket. Wow.
Despite late-game heroics from the Red Raiders, the Cowboys pulled out a 74-69 win thanks to 20 points from Cade Cunningham. Elsewhere, 19th-ranked USC bested Oregon at home 72-58. Drake improved to 23-2 with a win over Evansville 74-63, and Duke blew out Syracuse at home 85-71. On the women's side, number 4 Stanford took care of business to move to 21-2 on the season with a 62-48 home win over number 9 Arizona, and Notre Dame won at Pittsburgh 59-48. In baseball, number 7 Mississippi State beat 3 Texas Tech 11-5. Number 6 Ole Miss handled number 9 Texas 8-1. Number 8 Arkansas knocked off 10th-ranked TCU 4-1. And Baylor fell to UT Rio Grande Valley 7-4 to lose their opening series 2-1. And tonight, Baylor men's basketball returns to action for the first time in 21 days with a home matchup against 2-16 Iowa State, starting a trek 3 games in 6 days. The game is at 7 p.m. on Big 12 Now. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This is Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Welcome back in the Pickell and Low T Bears Den. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Super Tuesday across the country. And tonight, Baylor men's basketball returns against Iowa State in the Farrell Center. Scott Drew, Jared Butler, and company back for the first time in 3 weeks, coming on to help us break it down and breaking things down across the Big 12. Matthew Postins from Heartland College Sports. Matthew, thanks for coming on again this week.
Hey, thanks, Drake. Appreciate it.
So, Matthew, we'll start where we should, where we have to. It's kept me. It's the reason I woke up this morning as chipper as I did. Baylor's coming back.
Yeah, finally. It's it's been pretty insane to have them sitting on the sidelines for so long. I mean, you look at them, and they're 3 games up in the conference standings, but they haven't played a game in 3 weeks, and they still have half of their league games to make up. And as we know now, with the Big 12 talking, with their athletic directors talking, probably not going to see them play all of those games between now and the Big 12 tournament.
I obviously there's a lot of question marks around whether or not Baylor will even play on Thursday against West Virginia. But Matthew, maybe you're hearing a little bit more. A lot of stuff is broke since we since we started the show. What more are you hearing about whether or not Baylor will be able to fit in not just West Virginia, but more games, and really not just Baylor, but who can fit in what moving forward?
Well, at about an hour ago, Dana O'Neill at The Athletic confirmed Matt Norlander's report that the West Virginia-Baylor game is not going to happen this week. Her tweet reads, confirming of Matt Norlander report, source says Big 12 is reconfiguring its end-of-season schedule, which is why the Baylor-West Virginia game is not going to happen this week. Who is playing where will all be reshuffled here soon. So They're trying to, they've got, Baylor, like I said, Baylor has half of its league schedule that still has to be made up. Conversely, Kansas, if nothing gets postponed or moved around, they will have played all 18 conference games by the end of this weekend. So there's a lot of imbalance there, and it's nobody's fault, really. I mean, it's just that's what we knew going in with this season with COVID, and then the storms last week pretty much wiping out the whole Texas slate for that week. But it's I think if you're the Big 12, you've got to think about, you want to try and retain some competitive balance or as much as you can. But B, if you really do want to play the Big 12 tournament in 2 weeks, you don't want to exhaust these guys trying to get all these games in.
Right. So along with that, too, if you are from a Baylor perspective, if you were to look at this from Scott Drew's perspective, what do you think the best case scenario is right now for the Bears as far as getting games in?
Well, if they really are going to do away with the West Virginia game Thursday, which right now it's a report, and I think those are probably pretty accurate reports considering the reporters who are getting that information out there, then Baylor would play 2 games this week. They'd play Iowa State tonight. They'd play Kansas, I think, on Saturday. That would give them 11 conference games. Then I think you have to look at the rest of the conference and see where the standings are. And right now, Baylor has a 4-game lead in Oklahoma and a 5-game lead. Oklahoma and West Virginia. At this point, if they play 2 games this week and they win, they're 11-0. Maybe they play West Virginia once. Maybe they play Oklahoma again once. Maybe they play Texas again once. I think they probably play maybe 2 games next week. At this point, there's really nobody that can really catch them if that's the kind of schedule they go down. For Baylor, best case scenario, 2 games this week, 2 games next week, go to the Big 12 tournament. That way you're back in rhythm before you go to Kansas City. You're not exhausted trying to get 3 games, 4 games in next week. And there's, some semblance of competitive balance there.
With the so I know it's been explained to us by Mac Rhodes on one of the programs how exactly things will shake out if, say, Kansas plays 18 games and Baylor plays 12 or 13 by the end of this thing, which seems like it'll be a reality. Where things sit right now, how confident are you that Baylor can get through the regular season without having to forfeit any games? Or does it seem pretty likely Baylor's going to have to drop 2 or 3 games just sheerly by the Big 12 rule that they have to be within 3 games of the league average?
Yeah, I think they would probably have to, if that's the rule, they'll probably have to drop a couple of games by forfeit. The rules that they created are a little hard to follow. They're a little hard to understand. I think they were hoping that this kind of imbalance wouldn't exist by the end of the season, but I don't think they're going to ask Baylor to play 5 or 6 games in the next 2 weeks. I just don't think it's going to happen, especially if they're going to postpone the West Virginia game like they're talking about. And in that scenario, those forfeits would, effectively end Baylor's undefeated season, unless they want to change the rule again. And we saw the Big Ten change the rules for Ohio State in football season. So don't be surprised if there's some kind of a conversation to perhaps amend that a little bit. There's no best way. There's no fair way to do this at this point when you consider the gap between Kansas and Baylor in terms of the number of conference games they played. there's just the best way to do it to make sure they have a good product on the court for the Big 12 tournament, that everybody can play, and most important, that nobody else ends up having to have a pause going into the NCAA tournament.
So let me walk you through too. If you're on the Baylor side, the Big 12 side, I know you mentioned it, the Big 10 with Ohio State. Is there a chance that Bob Bowlesby up and says, you know what, COVID year, things are crazy. I'm just whatever. We're gonna give Baylor the undefeated mark. They're gonna be 13-0 in conference champions. We're not gonna make them forfeit. Do you think, covering the Big 12 as you have, that's a possibility?
I think it's a possibility. I think he'll get a lot of pushback from some of the other athletic directors in the conference. I don't think Baylor would have a problem with that. I mean, it's been a strange year. If they end up going 13-0, let's just say they've still won 21 games this season. Going undefeated, playing 2/3 of your schedule, that's still a pretty good accomplishment. I would tend to think that Bowlesby would at least consider it. I mean, you also have to think about this from the NCAA tournament standpoint. I think we all know at this point that 7 teams from the Big 12 are probably going to get in. Does forcing Baylor to forfeit 2 or 3 games hurt their net, their RPI, and thereby hurt the conference overall in terms of their seeding? It probably doesn't hurt it that much, but I think they also have to take that into account as well, because if them forfeiting 2 or 3 games hurts the net to the entire conference, that could hurt the seeding for some teams like West Virginia and Oklahoma and Texas. And one seed line in a tournament like this, where everybody's in the same location, there are small crowds, and everybody's kind of on a very, very regimented schedule because of COVID, one seed line can make a difference.
Matthew, as we saw in 2014 with Baylor and TCU, it's the conference of the one true champion, and then it just wasn't when both of those teams needed the one true champion to get into the college football playoff. If it's any situation like that, I'm not sure that there'll be any mercy for Baylor, but one can only hope that the Bears won't be forced to forfeit any games. And then that was kind of my next question. You alluded to it a little bit. Do you think anything changes for Baylor if they have to forfeit 2 games down the stretch and they go into the NCAA tournament with a record of 20-2 or 21-2?
No, I don't think that really hurts them at all, frankly. I think the NCAA tournament committee will be understanding if the conference forces them to forfeit a couple of games. They'll understand those are the rules that they adopted at the beginning of the season. They're just executing the rules. It doesn't impact Baylor's ability as a team whatsoever, in my opinion, to be a potential NCAA tournament champion. I don't think that hurts their seeding one bit, personally.
All right, Matthew, let's look at the slate, the schedule across the Big 12 this week. And we alluded a little bit earlier, the Iowa State-Baylor game tonight. Baylor coming back. I don't know if there's a better opponent you could come back against, and Baylor is at home, but 23.5 points that the Bears are favored by tonight. Let's start there. Do you think Baylor's in the right shape after a 3-week break to beat anybody by 24 in conference?
Probably not. Although if there's one team they could do it against, it's probably Iowa State. Iowa State had a little stretch there a couple of weeks ago where I thought they were starting to kind of come around overall, but they seem to have taken a bit of a half step back right now. It's just you're getting to the end of the season. The Cyclones know they really don't have anything to play for beyond going to Kansas City for the Big 12 tournament and probably losing to Oklahoma State in the first round. Or whoever they play in the first round. It may not be Oklahoma State, but the only incentive Iowa State really has is ruining Baylor's undefeated season. And I just don't think there's enough incentive on the road, even against a team that hasn't played a game in 3 weeks. I just don't see that as being enough incentive to beat them and pull off that massive upset. That said, Baylor will probably be a little rusty, and probably if I were putting money on it, I wouldn't cover. I wouldn't take Baylor to cover.
I don't know that I would either, and we may sprinkle some Monopoly money on that. But man, 24 points is just a lot, especially in the first game back. And Scott Drew said it; they don't know what they will have right now, and maybe the program now, just 6 hours before the game, is starting to understand who's going to play tonight. But they haven't released anything, and we as the fans just don't know. Along with that, though, even say Baylor's a player or two short tonight, is there a way in which Iowa State, who's reeling a little bit now after playing well a couple weeks ago, like you said, is there a way in which they could sneak up on Baylor in the Farrell Center?
I think the three things they'd have to do is they're going to have to shoot lights out. They're going to have to be, 50, 55% the entire game. They've got to shoot well from three because Baylor obviously is a very good three-point shooting team. And Baylor has had some turnover issues at points this season. So if you can force Baylor to give up the ball 15, 18 times and limit your turnovers offensively, that could give them a little bit of a wedge to kind of drive in and stay in that game. But I think for Iowa State, it's all about the shooting. They've got to have probably their best shooting game of the night tonight to beat a team like Baylor. Even a team like Baylor, which, teams like West Virginia and other teams that have come off pauses, we've seen them come off and not be themselves for a game or two, Iowa State still needs to play at a high level to beat them.
Matthew, elsewhere in the conference tonight, you have 17 Kansas at 14 Texas. A Texas team, you saw the infighting on Saturday. A 19-point lead, a 70% shooting performance in the first half, and they fall to West Virginia in the end in Austin. They've now dropped 3 out of their last 5 coming off of that COVID break that they had against a Kansas team that I think is the hottest team in the Big 12 right now after they just beat Texas Tech. What do you make of this game going down in the Irwin Center tonight?
I think it's going to be an interesting litmus test for Texas because this was a team that I felt like a week ago was starting to come around. And then you blow a 19-point lead at home against West Virginia. And, let's understand, this is like the third time this year that West Virginia's either been down by like 16, 18 points and made up the difference. So they're a very resilient bunch. But, they matched up well with West Virginia. They played incredibly well in the first half and the bottom just dropped out in the second. And, if you're Texas and you're Shaka Smart, you're looking at this game as, okay, we need to bounce back. We need to get back to doing what we do best, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and really kind of get that loss out of our head and realize that, it's all about building momentum for the next 2 weeks going into the Big 12 tournament. I think if they win this game tonight, I think they'll start getting back to being themselves. But if they lose tonight, if they lose to Kansas, which they could, because you're right, Kansas is playing some extremely good ball right now. I think they've had all 5 of their starters in double figures 3 of the last 4 games. So they have finally figured some things out on the offensive end. They have no depth though. They have no bench. So if you can get some of their guys like David McCormick and Jalen Wilson into foul trouble and force the Jayhawks to go to their bench, that opens up an opportunity for you to build a lead. But I really feel like this is a litmus game for Texas. If they lose tonight, you're going to see them probably lose a seed line in the next bracketology, and you're going to start to see them take a hit from a national perspective in terms of where they might fit into the NCAA tournament. I felt like a week ago they were a Sweet 16 team. Lose to a team like Kansas at home, coming off that West Virginia loss, maybe you're not a Sweet 16 team anymore.
Tell me, Matthew, too, this Texas game tonight, it's a top 20 matchup in Austin. Is it must win for the Longhorns at this point?
In terms of their NCAA tournament viability, no. I mean, they're going to go no matter what happens. I'm thinking more in terms of how far do you get in the NCAA tournament. If they lose to Kansas tonight, I kind of feel like they're not the Sweet 16 team that I thought they were just a couple of weeks ago. But, I think the bottom could drop out in Texas at this point, and I think they would still find their way into the NCAA tournament.
Outside of that game tonight, Texas again at home against Kansas. That game is slated for 8 p.m. There are a couple other ones going on, but I don't think we'll see any parity out of West Virginia at TCU, Oklahoma at Kansas State. Maybe some tighter games, but nothing crazy in those. I would hope you agree.
Yeah, I don't see those games going any way they should. I would watch the West Virginia TCU game just because. Well, 2 things. West Virginia is coming off the big win over Texas.
Right.
That's potential for a letdown game. Number 2, this was not a regularly scheduled game for TCU. I think they were supposed to play it on Monday and they pushed it back a day. TCU plays pretty well at home.
Yeah.
They're a good home team. They're not a great road team, but they're a good home team. And the last time that I covered a West Virginia TCU game, it was a much different West Virginia team 2 years ago. West Virginia lost that game by 35 or 40 points.
Yeah.
Again, they're a much different team than they were 2 years ago. But that's an interesting game just to track on your phone or track on your device during the game, just to make sure it goes the way it's supposed to. Because, like I said, TCU is a good home team.
Yeah, they just fell to Kansas State, but I feel like Jamie Dixon, being the seasoned coach that he is, could snap them back into it and at least keep the game against West Virginia close. It's crazy to me. West Virginia, Matthew, 15-6 overall this season, 8-4 in conference play, but they score 77.8 points per game this season. Their opponent scores 72.4, just a 5-point margin of victory compared to a 15-6 record overall. They like to keep things close.
Yeah, they're one of the few teams that I feel like when we get into March, they're the type of team that can win a game where both teams score 90 because Miles McBride, Taz Sherman, Sean McNeil, their guards have really come on this year along with Derek Culver. And they've got some good depth too, but they can also win the slugfest games where you only score 60 points and every possession's a dogfight. They're one of the few teams in this conference that can really do that. And that's the kind of versatility that comes in handy in the NCAA tournament. Right now, I actually feel like, especially if they get a favorable draw in a particular region, I think West Virginia could go as far as the Elite Eight because they've got a good big man inside. They've got 4 quality guards in the perimeter. They've got good depth. And they've got a coach that has been there and done that and knows what he's doing in those situations. So the fact that they can play multiple ways and do it in a quality way is one of the things that leads me to believe that West Virginia could be a really good NCAA tournament team this year.
Well, Matthew, I would have loved to have broken down with you the Thursday game between number 10 West Virginia, number 2 Baylor and Waco, but there's really no point now with the game being moved. And we're going to get through some of these Saturday games, but, Matthew, we may end up, it'll turn out we're wasting our breath even now just because who knows what will happen by Saturday. But I'm pretty confident with the way that things are right now that, well, I was about to say I'm pretty confident Baylor and Kansas will end up playing, but I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if the Big 12 shuts Kansas down and says, "Hey, you've played 17 games. We need to get in some of these other games for Baylor and West Virginia and whatnot." So you know what? Let's do it then. Baylor and West Virginia. Say they end up playing on Saturday, just because it sounds like the Big 12 may throw the entire league for a loop. Baylor-West Virginia matchup, we'll say it's in Waco too. What do you expect to see in a game between those two juggernauts in conference?
I think a lot of points scored. They're both really good defensive teams, but in games like that where you have two teams that match up really well defensively, sometimes the offense can kind of trump it.
Yeah. I
think Culver could end up having a really good game in that game. Not that Baylor doesn't have good inside players in Thamba and Chachua. It's just that Culver's the best post in the Big 12, and he's got a solid array of post moves down the block. He can move well athletically. Huggins has figured out a nice rotation with him and Asaboyan in terms of making sure Asaboyan's on the floor when they need defensive help and Culver on the floor when they need offensive help. They match up well as guards, but I think Baylor's guards are better, more consistent three-point shooters across the board. Miles McBride is probably the most consistent three-point shooter that West Virginia has. Sean McNeil and Taz Sherman can be very streaky, but when Sean McNeil is on, he is on. I mean, he will bury you if he gets going. But Baylor's three-point shooters on the perimeter are more consistent, in my opinion, than West Virginia's. And plus, you have Baylor's bench against West Virginia's bench, and I think Baylor's bench is a bit better. So if you're playing that game in Waco, I'd give Baylor the edge, but I feel like that's going to be a last possession kind of ball game.
Do they have the best shot, West Virginia that is, at beating Baylor out of anybody in the conference where things sit right now?
I'd give it to them, and I'd give it to Oklahoma. I don't know if Oklahoma is going to get another shot at Baylor. They're one of the games that got postponed due to COVID. But Lon Kruger has really kind of molded that team into one that first of all has depth. And while they never had a pause, they had players who sat out 2-3 games due to COVID. So bench guys got opportunities to get more playing time and to kind of prove themselves and move themselves into the rotation. The big advantage they have is they can play 9 deep and not lose much.
Yeah.
Now that Brady Manick is finally starting to play like Brady Manick, that improves their inside game. They've got 2 great three-point shooters in Devion Harmon and Emoja Gibson. Elijah Harkless has kind of become their defensive stopper on the perimeter. And, they've got enough inside with a Kuakor and Kuaf that they can make do with those 2 guys inside against guys like Derek Culver and Flo Thamba and those guys. So I'd love to see another Oklahoma-Baylor game because I think Oklahoma is just so much better than they were the first time they played.
Yeah.
I'm still not sure if the Sooners could beat them, but they are now a much more complete a much more consistent team than when they played Baylor in January.
And then, Matthew, the last game I want to get to here on the slate this week in the Big 12. Number 14, Texas at number 18, Texas Tech. Tech coming off of a loss at Oklahoma State in overtime, a hard-fought game where you thought maybe the momentum at the end of the game would spring them to a win, but it didn't work out. And now they come back home. Say that Texas loses to Kansas. Now you got two teams coming off of a loss, still top 20 on Saturday, an 11 a.m. tip-off in Lubbock. What do you expect to see from that ball game?
Well, Texas Tech seems to have these guys numbered the past few years under Chris Beard. I think after the win in Austin, I think it's now 5 of the last 6 that Texas Tech has won against Texas. I feel like both of those teams match up really well with one another. It's just that for whatever reason, Chris Beard finds a way to get a little bit more out of somebody when they play Texas. That game in January was fantastic. It came right down to the end. Mac McClung had a huge three-pointer to win that game. If Texas loses to Kansas, they're going to go into that Texas Tech game very desperate, but they haven't played well in that building the last few years, so I'd have to give Texas Tech the edge there. But, Tech to me is a team that's kind of, they're a step and a half forward and a half step back. They seem to find their identity for 2 or 3 games and then they lose it. And, I kind of felt like they were going to be one of those teams that was going to round into consistent form come mid-March, and they might still. But they're not quite there yet. And, a week like this where they get Texas at home on Saturday, that could be one of those things that could really kind of propel them into March and get them moving back in the direction they want to go.
And then, Matthew, looking at the Big 12 standings right now and where everybody is, we've talked about over and over how this conference, there's so much parity once you get past Baylor. And there have been weeks where we've said, oh, there's a ton of parity once you get past Baylor in West Virginia or Baylor in Kansas, Baylor in Texas. The only staple this season has been the Bears. But now, it's tough to believe. West Virginia, after a win against Texas, is number 4 in the Big 12 right now still, and it's Oklahoma at 2, then Kansas, West Virginia, Texas, Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech has a losing record in Big 12 play. I just, the parity of this conference is unbelievable, and I'm sure you feel the same way. But is there one team that you have confidence right now that in 2 weeks, when the Big 12 tournament's starting, you say, yes, so-and-so will be the 2 seed in the Big 12 tournament?
Confident?
Yeah.
Not 100% confident, no. And part of that is now that we don't really know how the schedule is going to shake out for the next 10, 12 days. They're trying to figure that out today. So you don't know if West Virginia is going to play Baylor twice. You don't know. We're assuming Oklahoma is going to play Oklahoma State twice this week. We don't know yet. But I think right now, since West Virginia and Oklahoma have already played twice and Oklahoma beat West Virginia both times, I'm going to say not with 100% confidence, but with relative confidence that Oklahoma will be the number 2 seed going into the Big 12 tournament.
Oklahoma, lock it in, Lon Kruger squad. They were unranked and just bottom 5. Just really thinking back to January, the first time Baylor and Oklahoma played. I guess the only time they've played so far this season. We talked to an Oklahoma beat writer, and he was like, "Yeah, I think Oklahoma go to the Sweet 16." And everybody's kind of turned their head like, "Well, I don't know about that." And now all of a sudden it just makes sense that Oklahoma can make a really good run in the postseason. All right, Matthew Postins of Heartland College Sports. Before we get you out of here, we're going to do what we do every day, and that is the Bear games. I'm sure you, obviously you're familiar now, and you know they get kind of wacky. Today's Bear games, still doing the Big 12 mascot madness. Today's matchup is between a Red Raider and a Cyclone. And the Red Raider is armed, but also a Cyclone. The Red Raider's bullets are rendered useless against a natural disaster.
Yeah, that's problematic. Yeah, I think I'd have to go with the Cyclone because, the Red Raider's armed, and he might have a horse, but you're not going to outrun a Cyclone. That's not going to happen.
And then
I'm going to go with the Cyclone.
No, yeah, the Cyclone's got, especially because we've decided the cage shrinks down the further the match goes. So the Red Raider cannot run from the Cyclone. The Cyclone will inevitably swallow the Red Raider.
Yeah, inevitably.
And then there's a Bear and a Mountaineer. And the Bear is armed, and so is the Mountaineer. But the Bear can't use the gun because it's a bear.
Yeah, and it doesn't have opposable thumbs. No, Bear and a Mountaineer. The Mountaineer's got a musket, so the Mountaineer really only has one shot.
Yeah, it's also true.
And one musket shot from a Mountaineer probably isn't going to fell a Bear on the first try. So I think I'm going to go with the Bear.
Wow. Matthew Postins, have you seen The Revenant?
Yeah.
Well, Leonardo DiCaprio would say that you are incorrect in your analysis, but we at Uptempo would say you're very spot on.
Well, Leo's got like producers and movie magic on his side. We're out in the real world, out in the Appalachians,
How about your score prediction for tonight between Baylor and Iowa State? Do you think this game will stay pretty low scoring?
I think it probably will, at least to start with. I think it'll be a slow first half for Baylor, but I think it'll end up being about an 80 to 65 win for the Bears.
I like that. A leading score for Baylor, too. What do you like?
Oh, that's a good question, especially with the layoff and everything like that. I think Mitchell will struggle a little bit. Teague just got to the finalists for the Jerry West Award. Let's say Maceo Teague with 18.
I like it. Maceo Teague, 18 points tonight. Matthew Postins, Heartland College Sports. Thanks for joining us as always.
Hey, no problem, guys.
All right. Again, Baylor men's basketball tonight at home against Iowa State. I like Adam Flagler tonight. I think Adam Flagler is leading scorer for the Bears. Tonight's game, the game notes, storylines heading in. Number 2, Baylor plays for the first time in 21 days. With a win, Baylor would break the record for the best start in program history. They were 17-0 in 2011-2012, that Elite 8 run. They'd be 18-0 with a win tonight, which they're going to win tonight. Tuesday is the 42nd meeting, and the home team is 29-7 in the series against Iowa State in campus site games. Baylor's 21-20 record versus Iowa State marks the first time the Bears have led the all-time series. Baylor's 11-3 against Iowa State since 2015, 17-13 in the 18-year Scott Drew era. That's crazy. 11-3 since 2015. Iowa State's had some pretty solid squads. Baylor's 7-0 versus ISU in Waco since 2014. And 4 of those wins were by 3 or fewer points or in overtime. The Bears are looking to sweep the series versus ISU for the 5th time in 7 years. Baylor's 10-1 versus ranked teams the last 2 seasons. The first team since 1974-76 Indiana to win 10 out of 11. That's crazy. Baylor is the first team since UNLV in 90-91 to win each of its first 17 games by 8 or more points. Baylor Gonzaga, the last 2 undefeated teams, have been 1-2 in the rankings all season. Baylor leads the nation in three-point percentage, top 5 in scoring margin, effective field goal percentage, turnover margin, turnovers forced, defensive turnover percentage, steals, and offensive rebound percentage. Top 5 in the country. Come on. Baylor is led by at least 10 points in every game this season. It's led by 13-plus at halftime in 10 of 17. Baylor has trailed for only 46.5 minutes of 680 minutes. Baylor's trailed 6.8% of this season and led wire-to-wire in 7 games. Baylor's 17-game win streak's tied for second longest in program history. They look to start 10-0 in Big 12 play for the second time after last season starting 10-0. Baylor's 24-3 record in Big 12 play over the last 2 seasons is the league's best record in that span, and Baylor is 22-1 at home over the last 2 years. Their lone loss by 3 to Kansas last year on February 22nd, and Jared Butler has been named one of the 5 finalists for the Bob Cousy Point Guard of the Year. Did you see this? Maceo Teague, Jared Butler, everybody, Mark Vidal, Davion Mitchell, all named for Player of the Year watch lists down the stretch in the last week or so. Unbelievable. Baylor, Iowa State. Tonight, when we come back, we hear from Scott Drew and Jared Butler breaking down what things are going to look like in the Farrell Center at 7 p.m. This is Uptempo.
Across the NCAA last night, Big Monday saw its fair share of thrillers, starting in the Big 12 with Oklahoma State taking 18th-ranked Texas Tech to overtime at home.
All right, there it is. McClung for 3. Missed it all. Shannon, a 3. No, underneath. Easy bucket. Wow.
Despite late-game heroics from the Red Raiders, the Cowboys pulled out a 74-69 win, thanks to 20 points from Cade Cunningham. Elsewhere, 19th-ranked USC bested Oregon at home, 72-58. Drake improved to 23-2 with a win over Evansville, 74-63. and Duke blew out Syracuse at home, 85-71. On the women's side, number 4 Stanford took care of business to move to 21-2 on the season with a 62-48 home win over number 9 Arizona, and Notre Dame won at Pittsburgh, 59-48. In baseball, number 7 Mississippi State beat 3 Texas Tech 11-5. Number 6 Ole Miss handled number 9 Texas 8-1. Number 8 Arkansas knocked off 10th ranked TCU 4-1, and Baylor fell to UT Rio Grande Valley 7-4 to lose their opening series 2-1. And tonight, Baylor men's basketball returns to action for the first time in 21 days with a home matchup against 2-16 Iowa State, starting a trek 3 games in 6 days. The game is at 7 p.m. on Big 12 Now. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This is Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up Tempo.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Bird Culture Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culture Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culture Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culture Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culture Ford.
The holidays are here, and I have a simple question for you. Will you weigh as much more or less than you do right now when the holidays are over? Why not end the year in better shape than when you started and create momentum for 2021? Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has numerous options for stocking stuffer gifts with gift cards for gym or tennis membership, fitness merchandise, tanning, massage, tennis lessons, and personal training. Perhaps a gift for a client, a family member, or a friend. You just need to walk through the front door to change your life. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. Spacious, clean workout room, free weights, Cybex cardio equipment, and no intimidation. A tremendous camaraderie and family atmosphere. So get the best and healthiest Christmas gift you can for someone or yourself. It's time to react today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lake Shore Drive in Waco.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Welcome back in Up Tempo. It's Tuesday, Super Tuesday. Baylor men's basketball is back. How about it? packed house today, too. Grayson Grundafer's here. Jack, Andrew, Cole, Armstrong, Sims, all in studio. SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo. All right. Scott Drew spoke to media yesterday. Him and Jared Butler. Both he and Jared Butler? His and Jared Butler? Hymns? Armstrong's saying hymns.
I'm saying it's not hymns.
I believe in a hill called Mount Calvary.
He and Jared Butler.
Hymns?
Jared Butler and he.
That was a pun.
No, I don't know.
That was a pun.
I legit don't know.
I'll fly away, oh glory. You get it?
Stop.
You see what I'm doing, though? Hymns? Aha. Aha.
Move on.
We went to a Baptist college.
I understand.
You should get the pun. You should get the pun.
I actually didn't get the pun.
Hymns.
I now get the pun.
All right.
Now I get the pun.
This is Scott Drew and Jared Butler yesterday speaking to media, breaking down who's going to be in tonight. Folks still want to know who's going to play. Folks want to know, is Baylor at full strength, at full health tonight? And what do the players feel like coming into their first game in 3 weeks? This, Scott Drew and Jared Butler.
Scott Drew, nice to meet you. John, Andrew, Jerry, Will. That's all I can see on my screen right now.
All right. First question for Coach Drew comes from John Warner with the Waco Tribune Herald.
Scott, it's great to see you too.
Hey, the most important question of the day. Everyone survived the winter blast?
Barely.
Everybody all right?
3 days without power.
It looks like you had no water to do any shaving. You look like that, or you were trying to stay warm.
Yeah, that's about right. Well, Scott, when did you guys return to team practice, and what was the atmosphere like?
Sunday was our first regular practice, and it felt like you were coming back from Christmas break where you were just excited to be back in the gym, excited to see everybody. And then obviously, like Christmas break, when you first come back as a coach, you want to make sure no one gets injured and you can get some rhythm and chemistry going again. And needless to say, I think guys were pretty tired, and hopefully we can get as much junk out as possible between now and Tuesday.
And how did the guys stay in shape during the last 3 weeks?
Well, you know, with COVID protocols, everybody has different. I don't even know what that word would be. So if you have COVID, obviously you're looking at isolation for 11, 14, 17 days. If you're out for contact tracing, then you can individually work out with someone that has had COVID within 90 days. And then if you didn't have anything, then you're able to do a normal routine. So you're in kind of three different containers. And with us, with the snowstorm, obviously put everyone in the same container of no facilities, no access, no anything for a couple days. So needless to say, we got some rust and some things to work through.
Scott, looking at Iowa State, I mean, that was a game that, they actually led with about 10 minutes to go. What do you see from them? How have they changed? It was a long time ago since you saw them.
Yeah. Well, Iowa State, one thing that's been consistent is if you watch most of their games, they either had a lead in the second half or definitely were close in the last 5 minutes. Now, there's always going to be 1 or 2 or 3 games in everybody's calendar where that's not the case. But, I mean, you look at they just played Oklahoma. They're down 21, and then they take the lead in the second half. You look at us. We got out to a 10-point lead, and then they came back and took the lead with under 10 minutes to play at their place.
Hey, Scott, I'll ask, are you going to be at full strength when you get back, or are you still going to be without a player or two? I'm not going to ask you who, if so, but.
Right. Well, with COVID protocols, David K will release an hour before game time who's available and who's not available and where we're at. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, Scott, I was just curious. I mean, there are a lot of coaches around the country, well, not a lot, but more than a few who've kind of been through the shutdown situation where it's not just, like you said, Christmas break, but dealing with guys either in contact tracing or actually with COVID. Have you reached out to any other coaches around the country who've been through this and said, hey, what do I need to look for? Because this is kind of uncharted territory for all of you guys. Correct. And second quick question, have you heard from the Big 12 about making up all the games that were postponed? Does that look like a possibility for you guys?
Good. And then I got my question at the end for you, Chuck. So the first one would be as far as, let's just go to the second one. The Big 12 is they're in charge of all the scheduling. And so I don't know who we're playing, when we're playing. I'm sure we'll all find out at the same time on social media when they release that. So that answers as far as the remaining schedule for us. And the Big 12 did a great job planning by us playing games in December so that we could have a week to make up games at the end of the year. So give them credit for thinking ahead and the working group that put that together. As far as reaching out to other coaches, it's definitely earlier. We had one of these right before the Kansas State game, and at that point I did a lot more of reaching out to other coaches that had gone through pauses, shutdowns, non-practices, whatnot, and just to see what everybody was doing. As far as this one, not as much, just because we were dealing with the snowstorm and all the other stuff too. And we do have some experience of coming back after a layoff. So again, I can tell you one thing, and that is for anyone that's used to working out, though, whenever you're used to working out and you're used to being in a routine, and then if you take 2 weeks or 3 weeks away from that, you're not coming back and being right where you were at before. So again, we know that the long game of this is hopefully come March, we're able to be healthy and continue to grow from this past Sunday on to being at our best.
Hey, Scott, will there be any guys that could potentially be on a minutes limitation that come back without getting into specifics? I know you mentioned the yes/no list, but is there some protocol that might trigger you can only play a certain number of minutes when you're back?
No, but I think coaches obviously know when guys haven't been practicing or working out as much. That would be for all our guys. We tend to sub quicker and more.
And Scott, when you had the first practices coming back, how are those so much different than what you would traditionally have in a late February practice?
100% different. First of all, normally people aren't excited to be at practice in February, so they were excited to be back Sunday. But then you're such in a rhythm of playing games and short practices, but knowing exactly what to do. When you come back after a break like this, you feel like when you come back from Christmas, it's return to basics, just some fundamental closeouts and ball handling and different things that you do just to make sure you get them back in the routine without risking a ton of injury, and at the same time get their wind, chemistry, and make sure their fundamentals are there.
Sorry about that, Scott. I was just going to ask you a little bit about, you guys were on idle for 3 weeks, and now you're kind of going on a, if you will, full court press with 3 games in 6 days. Is there a certain kind of strategy how you guys have to monitor and say, how do we make sure that this team can get through that gauntlet of games and still be as fresh as we possibly can?
Well, I think the first part of that is you're blessed to have a great trainer and Dave Snyder and strength coach Charlie Melton, and they do a good job of taking care of the bodies, making sure we're not putting them at risk, and then talking the game plan out to make sure that we don't risk injury in what we do. So definitely we spend a lot of time in communication with those two as far as us developing game plans and practice plans to get our guys ready to play but not put them in harm's way. And then the other part about that is the great thing about playing games this type of year. Seems like throughout the year, each game seems to mean and matter a little bit more. And when you're playing games in February and March, those are big games, and there are a lot more eyeballs and attention on each and every game.
Jared, how eager are you to play?
I'm super eager. It's been fun. I mean, not fun this past 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And seeing everybody else play, it's been just, kind of feel like I'm missing out. I feel like I've been like, what do you call it? When your parents punish you and you can't go outside and you see all your friends outside playing. That's what it's been feeling like.
Will it be hard to kind of regain the momentum y'all had?
I hope it's not hard. I think that could just be a lie that sinks in our head, or an agreement that sinks in our head that, since we've been out, it's going to be hard. But I like to believe that, we're going to pick up where we stepped off. It's going to be a little hard. It might be a little traction in the first few minutes just because to get our win back. But I think ultimately we're going to be back in the groove.
Playing this many games in a short period of stretch, will that be a good thing in terms of trying to get back in a rhythm, playing that many games?
Yeah, for sure. I kind of like it that we get to play a lot, less practice times. And we practiced so much this year without playing that many games. So I'm excited to play back-to-back kind of and, really just get back to playing, like just playing and just, getting to the scout and, just competing at a high level. So that's I think it's going to be good for us.
And you were named a finalist for the Cousy Award today. What does that mean for you?
Definitely a team award. Just what my team has done for me, what the coaches has done for me. I can't take all the credit. What Scott done for me in my life is just ridiculous. So it's just a lot of credit not to me, but just thankful. And yeah.
Hey, Jared, you got back to practicing. Scott just told us on Sunday. How did that first practice go for the team?
I think it went well. We played 5-on-5, and it was like a little risky. Like some of the shots were short. Sometimes we lost the ball in the paint, but I think all in all we competed, and it didn't seem like we lost that much step. It wasn't like we just lost completely control and wasn't able to play basketball. So it was good, especially for I think it was better than what we expected.
And Jared, do you kind of get a sense for how scouting might be different this week since it's a week with 3 games compared to the usual 2?
Yeah, I think it's going to be just like if we play in the NCAA tournament or the Big 12 tournament, it's going to be like a one-day scout, short turnaround, and you kind of have to lock in the day you have to prepare, and then ultimately it just comes down to competing. The good thing is that we played majority of these guys twice, I think, besides West Virginia, so we know them familiarly pretty well already.
Jared, I was kind of curious because you've been idle for 3 weeks, but I'm assuming you've watched the Big 12 race. Anything kind of stand out from you with just watching the teams that have been chasing you? Who's kind of caught your attention the way they've played?
Yeah, I'm just really shocked of how good Texas Tech is and how many games they lost. I'm shocked of how well West Virginia's come back in the end and win the games. Oklahoma, I felt like they gained some more confidence about themselves. Those are I think the things that I stuck out or I got from the not playing so far.
I'm curious too, just to the way that you guys, how did you individually handle the 3-week layoff? I don't know if you can speak to anything specific, but how did you kind of get through that period?
It was hard emotionally because, basketball is just like a big part of our life, and, we do it, and you expect to play all through February. And it was just, you kind of felt this void in your life, and you kind of sat there going to school and just feeling like a regular student for a while, for a little bit. And then, but also I enjoyed it and realized that there's a lot more games to play, and then we're going to need this energy. And it was kind of a blessing because we get to rest up and rejuvenize. But I just kind of I felt like we were going to play again. So like I just knew that, and I tried to stay mentally prepared for that, and not believe the lie that once we come back we're not going to be the same. I think that's a lie.
All right, thank you.
Across the NCAA last night, Big Monday saw its fair share of thrillers, starting in the Big 12 with Oklahoma State taking 18th-ranked Texas Tech to overtime at home.
All right, there it is. McClung for 3. Missed it all. Shannon, a 3. Underneath. Easy bucket. Wow.
Despite late-game heroics from the Red Raiders, the Cowboys pulled out a 74-69 win thanks to 20 points from Cade Cunningham. Elsewhere, 19th-ranked USC bested Oregon at home 72-58. Drake improved to 23-2 with a win over Evansville 74-63, and Duke blew out Syracuse at home 85-71. On the women's side, number 4 Stanford took care of business to move to 21-2 on the season with a 62-48 home win over number 9 Arizona, and Notre Dame won at Pittsburgh 59-48. In baseball, number 7 Mississippi State beat 3 Texas Tech 11-5. Number 6 Ole Miss handled number 9 Texas 8-1. Number 8 Arkansas knocked off 10th-ranked TCU 4-1, and Baylor fell to UT Rio Grande Valley 7-4 to lose their opening series 2-1. And tonight, Baylor men's basketball returns to action for the first time in 21 days with a home matchup against 2-16 Iowa State, starting a trek 3 games in 6 days. The game is at 7 p.m. on Big 12 Now. I'm Armstrong Sims, and that's all the news that is news in college sports. This is Armstrong's Minute on SicEm365 Radio's Up-Tempo.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Notre Group Insurance Agency. With the Notre Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Notre Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Notre Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to SicEm365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Crew cab, short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back to Up Tempo on SicEm365 Radio.
Welcome back into the Pinnacle and Low T Bears Den. I'm Drake Toll. Grayson Grundaver is back. Armstrong Sims, Cole, Andrew, Jack. Before we get into the Sick'em Pick'em round 2, let's do a little recap of Baylor baseball over the weekend. Baylor winning game 1, 12-7 over UT Rio Grande Valley, making it 4-2 for Coach Steve Rodriguez in season opening games. Baylor hit 5 home runs in the first 2 games. Under Rodriguez, the Bears have hit 212 home runs in 240 games. Yeah, there's a stat. Baylor offense combined for 31 hits and 20 runs on Sunday alone. In both games, all 9 players in Baylor's starting lineup finished the first game with a hit. Jared McKenzie combined 6 for 11 for 2 home runs, 5 RBI, and 4 runs. If your name's Jared and you play for Baylor Athletics, you are very good. That's a cheat code. I'm going to name a kid Jared. He's going to Baylor. Pineda went 5 for 11 while scoring 2 runs in the first 2 games as a Bear. Valdez finished the day 4 for 8 with 3 runs scored, 2 RBI in his first career games at Baylor. That was on Sunday. Game 1, the Bears hit 2 home runs in the 3rd inning. 6 players finished contests with 2 or more hits. McKenzie, 4 for 6, 4 RBI, hitting his first 2 runs of his young career. He's only a freshman still. Andy Thomas set a new career high, 5 RBI, 9th career home run of his 5-year career. Cardoza Oquendo hit his first career home run, 2-run shot in the 3rd inning, the season opener. Game 2, McKenzie, Pineda, Valdez, Wesner all finished with 2 hits apiece. Wesner hits his first home run of the season after leading the team in home runs last season with 3. Stat of the day, after hitting 406 last year as a freshman, McKenzie picked up right where he left off, going 6 for 11, first 2 career home runs, 5 RBI, 4 runs on Sunday. And then game 3, so Baylor lost the second game 9-8, which stunk after having an 8-run lead. And then on Sunday, Richardson finished a career-high hits, going 3 for 4 for the Bears while scoring 2 runs. Shortstop, 429 average to start the season. McKenzie tallied another hit on the season. He has a 467 batting average through 3 games. First-year pitcher, freshman Grant Golem, impressed with 2 scoreless innings. And Coach Rod said it was great to get a lot of guys out there on our pitching staff to try and get some of the anxiousness and nervousness out. We made a few too many mistakes, some walks, hit by pitches. Defensively, we had some costly errors that added on. UTRGV got the hits with guys in scoring position. We had a lot of guys get on base. We couldn't get the big hit to continue the game. Baylor falls 7-4 in the final on that one. They're 1-2 on the season after dropping twice to UT Rio Grande Valley. Not the way you want to start.
No, not all in the bullpen. Oh, my gosh. Travis Hester. Okay, this is really the stat of the day. He saw 8 batters, okay? Gave up 6 earned runs, and really he only walked 1 guy, so it wasn't like the control, it just a bunch of hits. He's at a whopping 54.00 ERA, and really just was really tough in that second game where they gave up the huge lead. And honestly, it was kind of unfair to him because I felt like he should have been pulled after he gave up, I think it was the first 4 runs. I thought they would pull him. They didn't, and they just kept adding on the runs. We're able to come back, and this is really a tough loss, especially for a team that the pitching was actually supposed to be a big improvement from last year's squad. So, yeah, not a lot of great things to take away from this one.
I love baseball. I love baseball season, and I love good baseball. I grew up in Arkansas, and I went to the Hog game last night against TCU. I called the Hogs. I'll say it right here. I'll say it right now. No shame. It was tough. That was tough. Losing 2 out of 3 to UT Rio Grande Valley. I love good baseball. Baylor's got good baseball. They just got to put some things together moving down the stretch. It happens, though. It's baseball. You know?
Yeah, it does. But this is one of those series that really hurts your RPI at the end of the year. Yeah. And in baseball, RPI is not a very forgiving thing. So they just need to regroup, get a bunch of wins in a row. And also this weekend, they have a great opportunity to do that in the Round Rock Classic, where they'll take on Auburn, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma in a 3-day stretch. So a chance to make up for this past weekend. If they can go 2-1, be very ideal, and they'd be in a pretty good spot.
All right, how about this? We've got SicEm Pick'em today. Also, you had mentioned Tiger Woods, injured in a car accident. Jaws of life were used to pry him out of the vehicle. No update on his injuries, but he was transported to a local hospital by an ambulance. So, I guess nobody's really positive what state he's in right now, but the vehicle sustained major damage.
Yeah, and after the Kobe stuff, I don't think we take these things for granted, because that obviously was a crazy moment last year, and now, Tiger's another one of those iconic figures. So hopefully he's okay. I'm sure they would have said something more if it was more severe. So hopefully he's doing all right.
Yeah, definitely got to, prayers up for Tiger, and, Not any news out there that we can report that says kind of his state from a physical standpoint, but just a bad car accident is what we're getting. Reporter news on Tiger Woods. Keep you updated on that. But SicEm Pick'em time. Andrew Robertson's in here he's our resident SicEm Pick'emer. And today we will start where we should. Baylor men's basketball at home against Iowa State tonight. The Bears against the Cyclones. Iowa State's 2-16, but Baylor is 23.5-point favorite. Andrew, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think Baylor's going to win the game. Hopefully they have everyone back. We're hearing other rumors, so I'm not sure what the starting lineup's going to look like. I think the Bears will win. I'm not going to take a money line because it's minus 4,000. But I think they're going to win the game. So, I mean, everyone knows the situation that's going on with Baylor right now. They've been off for 3 weeks, maybe longer. Iowa State's lost their last 5, so I don't think there's any concern here for Baylor to win.
Yeah, I'm with you on the winning part. I do think Baylor's going to win this game, but 23.5, that's just a lot. That's too big of a number, especially for a team that hasn't played in so long. I think Baylor will also, well, then again, with the West Virginia game being canceled or potentially postponed, according to Matt Norlander, I think that Baylor might actually play all their guys the normal minutes, don't have to save them up, so maybe they run up the score a little bit, but I don't think it gets to 23.5. That's just too big of a number for a team that's had such a long time off.
How about outside of Baylor today, Pacific at San Diego? From Atlantic to
Pacific?
Gee, the traffic is terrific. Thank you, Armstrong. And Andrew. I love Pacific minus 2.5 today at San Diego. San Diego, they have lost 3 out of the last 5. Well, Pacific's lost 3 out of the last 5. But looking at those two schools, San Diego's 3-8, Pacific's 7-7. I don't know. Pacific just won at Portland by 22. And San Diego won at Portland a couple games ago. In a COVID break, they won by 8. So I like Pacific on the road today, Andrew.
Well, it's 2.5, so it's basically a pick 'em. Money line won't cost you too much. They're 7-7 compared to 3-8. San Diego just took a thrashing by Gonzaga. They lost by, check my math, 37. Wow. So, I mean, you got to go with the hot hand, I guess, Pacific Pick'em. But I can't tell you I watch a lot of Pacific basketball.
Yeah. Not a big Pacific guy.
No, I like to stay away from the West, you know.
Grayson?
Yeah, I'm with you on the pick, but it's not necessarily one that I had circled on my calendar. But I will say, you know, that conference right there really showing their strength with these two juggernauts. And there's another team in that conference that is getting a ton of love for beating up on these schools. But, you know, it is what it is. I think that I'll take Pacific. I'll go with you on that one, but not necessarily one I had circled. But I will give you one that I do have circled on the schedule, and it's one that I think is going to be one of the more contested ones because I know where you stand on it. But I'm going to go with Kansas versus Texas, and I'm actually taking Texas, the home team. The reason for it, Kansas is, I believe, 4-5 on the road this year. They are a completely different team on the road than they are at home. I know Texas has had their struggles, but this Big 12 is weird and wacky, and I think Texas easily covers this. I think they almost win this game by double digits, and they already smashed Kansas once in Allen Fieldhouse, so I see no reason why they won't get this job done.
Wow. Okay. I like a revenge game for Kansas. What are your thoughts, A-Rob?
Well, embrace debate because I also like Texas. Kansas won their last 5. I think Kansas is a bunch of frauds. I've said it since the OU game where they were 10-point favorites and lost by, I think, 7 or 8. I think Kansas is fraud. They're fraudulent. I'm surprised they're still 17. I take Texas. I mean, it's, again, another 2.5, so to pick them. I think Texas is better. I think their coach, who is it? The bald guy, Shaka Smart.
Yeah.
Shaka Smart.
He's not bald anymore.
No,
he's a chia pet.
I could not believe when I saw him with hair. It was an odd scene. But he's a good enough coach to where I think they can figure out the team conflict they had in their last game. I think they played really well against West Virginia, and you have to kind of take away that end of the game because of the internal conflict going on there. I think this team will bounce back, and I think Texas wins at home.
Okay, St. Louis tonight, guys.
Oh, lock it in. Lock it in. VCU. VCU is winning.
Lock all it day in. On the money line. That's a $50 money line plus probably 140 plus 140.
Lock it in. That one is my lock of the day. VCU is going to win that game. I think they're going to win it fairly easily, and they're given 3.5 points. Yeah. Yes, please.
Campbell, I think Campbell's going to win by a lot. I think VCU is going to win tonight. I think those two are locks in my book. I like the money line on VCU. Campbell minus 3.5 tonight. You know Campbell. They, you know her? Campbell. They are playing tonight. Campbell is 14-9 overall. In conference play, they're 10-6 against High Point. High Point 6-10. High Point's lost their last 3, 4 out of the last 5 too. Okay, they're on the road against Campbell. Campbell's won 6 straight, and they're only 3.5 point favorites against a very lowly High Point team.
Yeah,
low point.
I miss Clemens. You know Clemens, Corey Clemens, I think that was played for Campbell, led the nation in scoring.
Yeah.
They lost him and haven't really missed a beat. They're still pretty good in the Big South.
Oh, they're solid. A-Rob?
The Campbell Fighting Camels, for all who don't know.
Yeah,
what
are.
a great
Yeah, they
mascot that is. I mean, High Point 8-13, Campbell 14-9. Numbers don't lie. Campbell's only getting 3.5. So are we riding the Fighting Camels?
Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Fighting Campbell's. Number 5, Illinois at Michigan State tonight. Illinois just a 7-point favorite. Guys, Michigan State is not very good at basketball. They did win at Indiana, which shocked me, but they're just 5-9 in conference this season, not making the NCAA tournament, and Illinois has now won 7 straight games. Who you got?
You can go ahead, A-Rob. You can go first. I want to see what you have for this.
All right. Well, looking at this game, I think I do like Illinois. I think the spread being only 7 is not enough respect to Illinois. I know it's in Michigan, but I think Illinois is on a hot streak. They've won 7 straight. They're winning semi-convincingly. They're scoring more points per game than Michigan State, and they're only allowing like 2 less. But so I have Illinois here, -7.
I'm taking Michigan State.
Really?
I am, and this might just be giving Tom Izzo way too much credit, but I think eventually they're going to somewhat turn the corner. They're not going to make the NCAA tournament, but I think they will start playing better. You would think they have been much better at home than they are on the road. Illinois is a good team. I don't think they're a great team. I think Michigan State will cover. I don't know if they win this game, but the 7 points, that's quite a few points.
Are you sprinkling? Are you sprinkling money line?
Yeah, I'm sprinkling it.
Wow.
I'm sprinkling the money line a little bit. Yeah, I'll sprinkle it a little bit.
Virginia Tech's at home against Georgia Tech. Mind you, Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech, this is a game in which the Hokies have not played since February 6th, which was a win at Miami in overtime. Georgia Tech just won at Miami 87-60. I think that's a big part of this game. Virginia Tech a 3.5-point favorite, but they've been on a break for a while.
Ooh, I don't know where I'm at with that one. That's a really tough one. A-Rob, you got something for that one?
Well, Virginia Tech's been on a break. They haven't played their last 3 games. Their last game was February 6th, so it's similar to a Baylor situation. I wouldn't touch this game based on the fact that I don't know enough about their story, like why they've been off on a break. I assume COVID-related, but I don't want to take this team with the information I have on their break.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I would take Virginia Tech, though, if I were on one side of this, especially at home.
I love money line Notre Dame on top of Louisville tonight.
Ooh, oh man.
Louisville just got smacked.
Yeah, Louisville's not very good. Notre Dame's not very good.
Louisville's coming off of a COVID stint too, and they do not look the same after their COVID stint.
That's true, and they do have some drama with Chris Mack, the whole maskless drama thing going on. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I think that's a fair pick. I don't think I'm gutsy enough to take that one because I do think Louisville might be due for a little bit of a rebound, and Notre Dame's not very good. It's hard to bet on a team that's not very good, so I'm going to stay away from it, but I get the pick.
I understand the pick, too. I hear Louisville, and I want to just go back to the days where they're just running it in the NCAA tournament. They're just throwing down jams. But when you look at this team, I mean, they're 11-5, so it's not anything to scoff at. But after their COVID break, they haven't been playing especially well. They lost to UNC by, I believe, a cajillion. So I guess you taking Notre Dame money line? Not even plus 4.5? Okay.
Yeah, I like Notre Dame money line.
Yeah, sprinkle it, man. You do you. I'm not touching this game, but you do you.
You got LSU at Georgia tonight. I think it's a dangerous one. I've liked LSU a lot. They've been solid against the spread the last couple of games, but I don't know about this one.
Yeah, I like LSU in that one, but I get the concern though. Georgia is a team that's played a lot of teams close. They're okay. They're kind of meddling a little bit. But yeah, I still would go with LSU. They've been actually fairly hot recently, so I'm going to go with the Tigers there. There's a few other interesting games in the SEC as well.
Yeah, give me Florida. Give me Florida on the money line tonight too against Auburn. I liked some upsets tonight. Florida at Auburn. I love the Gators.
Who are you going?
I have another upset here, though.
Okay. Well, then let me hit this one really quick because I'm taking Auburn.
Really?
Whoa. Yeah, it's contrarian pick. I know. But 3 straight road games. They won one of them. Really close loss to Kentucky. Got blown out by LSU for sure. But a lot of their games have been close. I know they're not playing well, 11-12 as their record indicates, but close losses to Georgia, in overtime to Ole Miss. I think they keep this one close, and I do think they pull it out, and they knock off the inconsistent Florida Gators.
Wow.
That's an interesting pick.
Hey, Rob?
For this game in particular, See, the thing is with me is that I have like a vendetta against Sharif Cooper. I've never been a fan of him just from the start, and it kind of stinks when he's playing well because I, on the record, dislike him just as a player. And unfortunately, I think he's actually kind of good. So just for that reason and that reason alone, I'm going to take Florida, but there's no logic to that pick.
Wow. All right. Well, I'll hand you that then. I'm glad we agree.
I like which side I'm on after that.
Yeah. St. John's, Villanova tonight. St. John's, 11-point dogs at Villanova. This is a tough game, too. Villanova has lost 2 out of the last 5, which is kind of uncharacteristic of the team. And one of those is against St. John's on the road by 11. Here's the deal. St. John's just lost at home to a bad DePaul team. I think while they want revenge from that game, they want to avenge that loss with a big-time upset against Villanova. I think Villanova, they remember that loss to St. John's. They're at home. I like Villanova to win this game, but that plus 11,
right?
No, sir.
Yeah, this one stuck out to me. We're a St. John's radio show. We pick them all the time, and we can't turn our back on our boys now. They need us. It's plus 11. I'm going to hammer the plus 11. Just because I want to watch this game and cheer on my guys at St. John's. So, plus 11. I think the number's too big. They recently lost to St. John's. Maybe St. John's has the blueprint.
Any other games that stand out to you guys?
West Virginia.
Ooh.
I know TCU plays well at home. I heard the conversation. But I think 7's not enough. I don't think TCU's good. They're young. I think West Virginia minus 7. I like that pick a lot.
I do too.
Yeah, I guess I can go with that. 7? Yeah,
7.
I'll go
I don't
with
like
that.
a halftime. I like TCU plus 4 halftime.
Whoa.
But I think West Virginia wins it by 7.
You're taking TCU plus 4 halftime, but West Virginia game by 7.
Yeah. Oh, I love doing that.
Those are bold, man.
That is bold. I don't know that it flips that quick. I think West Virginia's just up the whole game.
Right.
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah, I think they're going to – although there might be a little distraction. This little cancellation bug might impact that. But West Virginia's just a much better team. TCU's not very good, so I can see it.
That's a good point. TCU. West Virginia's not great in the first half. TCU's pretty decent. So maybe that's a trend that we look at right there.
Could be.
We got SicEm Pick'em today. That was a SicEm Pick'em. We got celebrity birthdays and this day in sports history. Celebrity birthdays. We're going to start with Josh Gad. It's his birthday today.
Yeah, good
Josh
question.
Gad. Josh Gad. He played Olaf in Frozen.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Gad.
The snowman?
No, the horse. Yes, the snowman.
Okay, well.
38.
38?
He's a young,
fair
enthusiastic voice. I'm going to say like 45.
45.
Young, enthusiastic voice, 45. I'm going to go 35.
30. Just kidding, 40. He's 40 today. Josh Gad's 40.
Close.
That tripped me up a little bit. Emily Blunt, wife of John Krasinski, turns how old?
45.
Okay. She has a young voice. She's probably 63. 42.
She's probably older.
38.
38! Whoa! She is 38 on the mark.
Nice.
Wow.
That's
I'm
young.
not even lying.
She's younger than I thought.
She is young.
Yeah, a little bit younger voice.
Dakota Fanning. How old's Dakota Fanning?
Dakota Fanning.
Yeah, she was in Spiderweb, the Spiderweb movie. Charlotte's Web, not Spiderweb.
Yeah.
That was the alternate name of the movie was Spiderweb.
24?
Okay.
28.
Okay.
26.
27. Split it right there.
Split it.
Hey, prayers up for her. 27's a tough age for famous people.
Okay.
It's a tough age for famous people.
Yeah.
She's just got 365 days to hold on, and then she'll make it to 70. You got George Frederick Handel, the composer. Handel and Bach, remember? Yeah, how old is he?
I gotta get a handle on
We're
this.
digging here.
91.
91. Are we gonna go like 300?
Yeah, I think he's older than 91. Like, I don't know, 220.
George Frederick Handel, who he was born.
I'm gonna go I have 300.
So you have 300? It is
Give or take a 200.
336.
Oh, my God.
336 years old today at Joseph Handle. He made it a long way.
Wow, yeah.
Made it a long
Good big day
way.
for the Handle family.
Handle family, if you're listening, this is big for you.
We're digging on February 23rd.
You know George Frederick Handle, his like great granddaughter watches the show and she's like, no way. It is great grandpa Handle's birthday.
Great.
She is gonna fly to what's that city? Austria. She's gonna fly to Austria.
That city?
She might be 91.
Austria.
I'm just gonna back out of what I was.
Yeah, just move on.
She's gonna fly to what was that place? It was Austria. They would all go to Austria. What was the city they
Vienna?
would go to? Vienna. She's gonna fly to Vienna and place flowers on his grave today because of
Salzburg.
Salzburg. Newport.
Anyway, let's move on.
The Rhine Valley.
Let's just name random cities.
Fred Biletnikoff. You know they named the Heisman after him.
What?
Wait, hold on.
110.
110.
130.
122.
He's 78.
Yeah, it's tough.
Fred Biletnikoff's
that's
78
really tough.
today.
Really?
Yes, he's still alive.
Oh, I didn't know.
He's the receiver they named the award after.
Dead or alive, Fred.
I thought he's still alive. That's why I guess 130.
Yeah, I probably could have put him dead or alive. Aziz Ansari's birthday is today.
Ooh. Okay.
31.
Okay.
35.
Okay.
This is another voice pick. I'm going to go like 33.
38.
Wow. He looks great.
He looks good.
He does look good.
D'Angelo Russell.
25? Yeah.
25.
Wow, nice.
Nailed it.
Nice.
Jamal Murray.
23. 24.
Yes.
No.
24.
Yes, let's go.
Andrew Wiggins.
Really?
Oh, I know.
25.
No.
Oh,
24.
no.
24.
No.
I thought it was 26.
Yeah.
26.
I know he's so young. I feel like he's 40.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, he's been around.
He's had a very unproductive career.
Yeah.
This day in sports history, in what year? Major Walter Clopton Winfield patents a game called Sphäresteig, otherwise known as lawn tennis. You guys should know this.
Oh, yeah.
Lawn tennis?
Yeah.
Is that otherwise known as tennis?
Sphäresteig.
What's lawn tennis?
1832.
Oh, close.
Really? All right, I'm going to go. Oh.
We're giving a year.
Yeah.
1800. No, 1910.
1888.
1874.
That
1874.
It's on the tip of my tongue.
14 years is not that far for that.
There's five-time F1 World Drivers champion Juan Manuel Fangio is kidnapped by Cuban rebels from Fidel Castro's 26th of July movement, released soon
My
after.
God.
In what year?
70. 63.
55.
71.
58.
Yeah.
And Sri Lanka becomes the first Asian cricket team to clinch a test series in South Africa, chasing down 197 in a second test. In Port Elizabeth, Kasul Mendez, 84 no, Ashada Fernando, 75 no.
2021.
Yes,
2017.
today. It happened this morning.
2025. It's happening in the future.
2019. I'm Drake Toll. That's
pretty
Jason
good.
Green, David Armstrong, Sims Cole, Andrew, and Jack are all in here. Thanks for watching today. We'll be back at it tomorrow, 11 o'clock, breaking down Baylor and Iowa State. This is Up Tempo.